start a Twitch. Should I do the Twitch? Fuck it. I need to get that. What is it? Chatify or whatever? Not Chatify. I think every app's Chatify or Affi now. I'm a boomer. Leave me alone. No, just charge this bitch. Throw on the headphones. Baby going to bed. What was I gonna watch? Yeah, I was on my phone just being a DJ. You know what I mean? Like my wife's all like, "Oh, doing those TikToks, right?" Like I'm always on TikTok or whatnot, and I'm not on TikTok. All right, I'm on the YouTube Shorts. Not feel me? Nah, me. All right, but yeah, it was I was watching this altercation with the cop, and it just like pissed me off. You know what I mean? So I might as well just like be on YouTube while on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? All right, this one right here, yeah.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Boom, perfect timing.
Cold. Terry daughter, it can be heard yelling, "He got a gun," referring to Eric declaring his men hands in the air, his car window, officer.
The rules for when and if an officer should unholster their firearm are vague. It's basically up to the discretion of the officer. If an officer draws their firearm and can claim that they had reasonable...
Bro, and then it's gonna be you versus them. You know what I mean? I think like one of the best things Obama has done is add body cams to the police. I felt like the number for body cams was ridiculous because I think they said it was what was it? It was like 100,000 body cams, and the thing was like $4 million. So if you think about how much each camera cost, right? Like what's the math on that, right? Real quick, what's the math on that? Like, let's just say $1 million for 100,000 cameras. Let's just say that, right? That means each camera was what, 1,000, right? Yeah, right. It'd be 1 million divided by 100,000. It'd be 10. All right, $10. Never mind, I'm tripping. But I found it was like some ridiculous amount of money for so little cameras. Let me look it up. Let me look that up. Let me not look like an idiot, right? Yeah, let's keep going.
Fear and needed to be prepared to use force up to and including deadly force, then they are typically free from departmental scrutiny. There are some agencies that require officers to report when they've drawn their firearms, but that's the minority of agencies, not the majority. Not every gun that comes out of a police officer's holster.
My bad. So it was $263 million for the deployment of 50,000 body cams, bro. So let's do the math on that. All right. But now that I'm thinking about it, that's probably like $1,000 a camera. It's 2014, I guess, the technology for it to be. And these motherfuckers wanted to get paid because it's the government, right? Like that's how it fucking works. So let's see. 263 million divided by 50,000. Each camera was $5,260. That is nuts, bro. For the little thing that you could have literally just retrofitted phones, you know what I mean? But yeah. Crazy.
Holster is entirely justified.
It's America, you know what I mean? We gotta go heavy. We gotta go hard. And then plus, those body cams have good like motherfuckers turn it off, but like nah, man, you feel me, Young Drugs? My bad, I'm just seeing that right now. I'm so bad. I gotta get the fucking alerts on this shit, bro. I'm the worst, dude. But yeah, dude, fucking I just lost my trail of thought.
They are operating under different standards and rules. But just like anybody else in society, if they break the law, a police officer should be held accountable.
100%. Yeah. That little body cam, it like when motherfuckers turn it off, it records like a few seconds, maybe a minute before like they try to tell you like, oh, you could turn that off, but the thing is, not before, but after you turn it off, supposedly, it's still recording you. Like, cops cannot turn it off. They have the illusion that they're turning it off, but they're not turning it off. So cops literally, like, you can't turn that fucking thing off. You know what I mean? It's recording. You know what I mean? Like, I always thought like turning them off was ridiculous that they could do that, right? Hopefully it's loud enough.
Officer Terry Dougherty, a 3-year veteran with the Helena West Helena Police Department, was responding to a call of a person loitering at a gas station. Ed Truitt, a welder from Arkansas, said he and his cousin were asked to leave the gas station by a female officer, but when he went to pull out of the parking lot, he was blocked in by a police vehicle. Mr. Truitt was sitting in the driver's seat of the car when the officer approached with his gun drawn. It was then that Mr. Truitt started recording the encounter on Facebook Live. In the video, Officer Dougherty can be heard ordering Mr. Truitt to put his car in park and exit the vehicle. Mr. Truitt does not comply, but keeps his hands in the air throughout the encounter. Officer Dougherty would eventually pull Mr. Truitt out of his vehicle,
like, look at my
and
hands.
placed him in
Look at my
handcuffs.
hands. I'm not doing nothing.
Huh? Can you tell me what I did wrong?
Okay, shut your car off.
What I do wrong?
Shut your car off.
Come on, shoot me.
Shut your car
He
off.
gonna shoot me.
Got a gun.
Where?
Gun.
Where?
Shut the car
Where?
off.
Where? My hands in the air.
Shut the car off. Shut
Nah,
the
I ain't,
car
hey,
off.
come shut the car off. I ain't moving my hands. He trying to shoot me.
Yeah,
He
he's
trying
got
to
a
shoot
gun. That was fucking
Shut the
crazy,
car off.
bro.
Nah, I ain't moving.
That's like a fuck. Oh shit! Like I fucking pooped my pants just now, bro. Like a cop says, "You got a gun." I'm fucking shitting bricks, bro. No mames, homie.
My hand in the air.
Shut the
That's
car off.
fucking
My hand
scary,
in the
dude.
air. My hand in the air. My
Wow.
hand in the air.
I was like, at one point, I'm like,
hand
oh,
in
he
the
says
air.
you're gonna shoot me, and the gun, and the cop says
My
he's got a
hand in the
gun.
air.
So maybe he convoluted
My hand in
that
the
he
air.
heard shoot and then he gun, right? Like, and then he was gonna get shot. Like, that's crazy though for him to think that. That's crazy for the cop for him to think that, right? If that's the best case scenario, right? He thought, oh, he's gonna shoot me. Shoot me. He's gonna shoot me. He's got a gun, and he fucking shoots back or whatever. Like, that's fucking nuts, bro.
What's doing?
Fuck, homie. Right there. And I think right there at that point, the cop
What
knows
I
he
doing?
fucked
My
up.
hand in the air.
But he's
My
gonna
hands in
he's
the
gonna
air.
keep
Sir,
playing
you
it.
comply with the lawful
Shoot me.
order.
My hand in the air.
Yo, yeah, right there. He knew he fucked up. That whole pause, he was just or maybe he just heard some shit in his ear too, right? You know what I mean? But that whole piece processing, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
My hand in the air.
woo wee. I bet he's being told,
My hand in
that
the air.
motherfucker better have a gun. If you're saying he's got a gun, that motherfucker better have a gun.
Come on now.
Fuck.
Come on now. Come on now. Shoot me.
I'm filming too.
Oh, it's in my name. It's registered. It's registered. Shoot me.
I'm filming too.
I'm filming. I ain't did nothing.
You failed to comply with a lawful order.
What
you
I
were
do?
told to
I
leave
was,
the
I
car.
was pulling off. I couldn't hit
You
his car.
come back.
I couldn't hit his car. How I come
Well,
back?
he's definitely not in the parking
How did I
lot.
come
I
back?
mean,
Never
he's in the parking lot, but he's not in
I
the
just
parking
pulled up
space.
when
Like,
they
he's
called me
leaving,
and told me,
right?
oh, we finna go to Jonesboro.
out.
We leaving from Jonesboro.
Step out the car.
Hey, I'm not putting I ain't touching that thing. He trying to shoot me. Hey, you come put it in
Step out
park.
the
You
car.
put it in park.
Step out the
What
car.
you pushing my hand for?
Step out the car.
What you pushing my hands for?
What a dig. Like that, bending it
What you
backwards,
pushing
too.
my hands for?
Vato culero, güey.
How can I step out the car? What you pushing my hands for? Come on now.
We're gonna get out
Come
the
on
car.
now.
Now he's under arrest.
Hey, you gonna
Or
put it in park?
detained.
I'm not, cause you trying to shoot me,
Step
bro.
out the
Come on.
car.
Put it in park for me. Yes, sir. Come
Put
on.
it out. Put
Come
it in
on.
park for you. How am I gonna put it in park?
I'm telling him to put it in park. I'm not
Stupid
talking to you.
motherfucker.
You trying to shoot? What you pushing
Yeah.
my arms back for?
Look at that.
What you pushing my
Dig,
arms
when he
back
got
for?
fucking rebuttaled and better remodeled, like, I'm not talking to you. He fucking, what a dick, bro.
Come on.
What a dick, bro.
Hey, put it in park for me.
What a dick, bro.
Get out the car. Turn over.
Yeah, that's a pig, plain and simple, dog. That's why, like, police in Europe don't have guns, cause like they've had countries for thousands of years, right? Like,
See, that's on live, right?
They've-
And that gun in my
I
knife.
got a
they know what it's like for fucking guards to have swords, right? You know what I mean? For thousands of years, these motherfuckers were chopping hands off and shit.
Help me.
You know, and then chopping hands off is,
Come on, help me out.
you get off easy.
Hey, fat,
You know what I mean? These motherfuckers killing you nowadays. Like, of course they kill you back then, but like, I mean, they
Truitt
thinking just
was
getting your
arrested
arm
and
chopped
taken
off
to
is
jail
fucking just
for
like,
gun
fuck,
possession,
thanks. We're not
loitering,
killing you.
resisting arrest, and failure to comply. The department says no formal charges were ever filed. Mr. Truitt would
I
tell
mean,
the
we hear
mainstream
we're
media
relatively
that he did not
new
listen
country.
to Officer.
Relatively new, and this whole, you know, activism since the 60s, like, this is still new, right?
His
Like,
orders because he was afraid that if he made any
all
sudden
motherfuckers want to say, oh,
movements,
forget
that
about
the
it, it's in the
officer might
past, we
discharge
moved
his
on.
weapon.
Like,
I
dude,
just
bro,
knew not to move.
maybe
I
like
thought
in
I was
like
going to
4
lose my
generations,
life right
maybe
then
we
and
could start
there.
talking about that.
I was scared
But
for
in
the
2,
first
in the
time
same
in my
generation, you're
life.
tripping, bro.
The officer was like,
Like,
"That's a
I don't want to like throw no one under the bridge, right? But like my family members like will talk shit, right? Will be racist because that's what they're taught. You know what I mean? And then I'm like the asshole in the family saying, "Hey, that's not cool. Stop." And I'm the dick. You know what I mean? Like,
failure to comply." But if I would have complied, I would have
oh,
got killed.
Darwin ruining
Chief
the
James
good
Smith
time.
of the Helena West Helena Police Department said officers retrieved an assault rifle from Mr. Truitt's vehicle. However, Mr. Truitt would claim that the gun was not within reach at the time of the confrontation. Officer Terry Dougherty would be put on paid administrative leave pending the investigation into whether he used excessive force. The investigation determined Officer Dougherty violated several department policies, including use of force, arresting procedures, and body-worn video recordings. According to the chief's letter,
Did he turn it
Officer
off?
Dougherty turned off his body camera when he was booking and processing Mr. Truitt. Officer Terry Dougherty was fired on August 9th, 2019.
Fucking looks like one of them brothers. Brother. I got a funny story when I got locked up. When I got locked up in Monterey County, for the first time, I remember some white boy went to go check the window, or not the window, but the screen. And then he goes back or whatever, does whatever he does, and like I get packed in, and they're like, "Oh, Darwin." They're like, "What's your name?" "Oh, Darwin." "Oh, what's up?" What's up? They grabbed my cot, they set up my bed, and luckily whites are right next to the paisas, right? This is general population. The whites are right next to the paisas, and I'm like, "¿Qué onda, paisas?" And look, coincidentally, we were overpopulated or whatever the fuck. So like my side was like more on the paisa side, anyways. So I think they kind of knew. But they were like, "Hey, just in case, we'll Rochambeau, bro. You never know, homie. Sometimes those Mexicans that don't speak Spanish, bro, they'll write white, homie, or sometimes they'll write other if they want problems in their life. But so hey, cause they're white, they could write with us, eh?" But I was all, "Hey, I'm paisa, ¿qué onda?" And they got all sad. And it was cool though. Joe's fun. Joe's like boot camp, not boot camp. Sorry, it's like day camp. You know what I mean? Fucking. Yeah, daycare. You got the shitty food. You got those kids that don't act right. You got the kids that act right but just are in shitty situations, you know. You got the ones that are in drugs. Yeah, camp. For sure. 100% camp. But yeah, dude. Oh man. Oh, there's little end scenes.
While digging deeper into Officer Dowdy's past, I found that he was accused of using excessive force twice before. One incident was from
Damn.
August of 2018, and the other was from March of 2019.
That's like your that's
he
like
was given those Simon Says type of directions, because if you listen to it, he tells him to keep his hands in the air, but then he tells him to turn off the car, but then he still tells him to keep his hands in the air.
Yep.
So which means if at any point in time, if he would have stopped doing what he was initially doing, which was standing still, having his hands outside of the car,
Simon Says. That's crazy the way he puts it like that. Yeah, 100%. Some cops are just gangsters, bro. That's what it is. Like I don't know why people hate to fucking admit it, bro. That's just a gang. That's another gang. You know what I mean, bro? Like, that's just what it is, bro. Fuck. Audit the audit.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out
Really
the
good
who
YouTube
and
channel.
what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers railroad tracks, due process, and unreasonable seizures, and is brought to us by 9 News' channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Before we dive into today's interaction, I want to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this episode, Incogni, a new product from our friends at Surfshark. The digital security experts at Surfshark have been developing a new service to help combat one of the biggest issues we all face on a daily basis: having your personal data shared and sold without your permission. Whenever you use a
100%.
digital service like Facebook or Amazon, there's a high
I remember
probability that your personal
my
information is collected.
my tia got me a job, and it was supposed it was I was gonna move to Alaska and work with my uncle, but she barely like started getting into singing and whatnot, and I was the only free engineer that would hook her up, right? And she convinced me to stay, and there was this fishing job, because I was gonna work construction, but I told her, I want to go. I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna get on the boats. I'm gonna fuck what my uncle wants. I'm gonna get out there on TV. You know what I'm saying? And I slept on myself so hard. I felt like I should have gone to Alaska. You know, at least done construction, right? But good times. Fuck that I missed out on. But probably also bad times that I definitely glad I missed out on. But yeah, I totally lost my fucking trail of thought, bro. But yeah, shout out Alaska.
sold to data brokers. Thanks to the California.
Oh yeah, I was gonna work for some guy that my aunt hooked me up with, and I gave that motherfucker all my information, and that job was not real. So, and we paisas, you know what I mean? So like, and that motherfucker was super paisa, so I'm pretty sure he gave my info to someone to fucking use it. You know what I mean?
Consumer Privacy Act, you have the right to request that your data be deleted and prevented from being
So
sold.
fucking
However,
funny
as
that I
with any
think
other
about that.
legal matter, it can take weeks or even months to actually see any results. Incogni is a web service that does all the hard work for you and submits deletion requests on your behalf to over 66 data brokers worldwide. The request process
I'm
is
not worried about that
entirely
shit.
automated, and you can track the progress.
You
of
want
the
my
request
problems?
as it is
Grab
sent.
on my bro.
All you have to do is sign
I'm
up,
pretty
enter
sure
your info,
if they
and
work
Incogni
if they
will
work a
do the rest.
thing
If you're
under my
tired
name,
of
they're gonna get
Googling
some shit
something
taken
or have
off,
your social
and I'm gonna
media
get child
filled
support
with
paid
silver
off. You know
ads,
what I mean?
if you're the
Like,
first 100 people to use code AUDIT.
Awesome, bro. Life is great.
20% off of your Incogni service. Thanks again to Incogni for sponsoring this episode. Shortly after 7:30 p.m. on Friday, September 16, 2022, 20-year-old TSA agent Yareni Rios Gonzalez was pulled over just north of Platteville, Colorado by an unidentified officer from the Platteville Police Department, who was quickly joined by 2 unidentified officers from the Fort Lupton Police Department. The officers were responding to a call regarding a potential road rage incident involving a firearm. Ms. Rios Gonzalez stopped her vehicle just past a set of railroad tracks, and the Platteville officer parked his vehicle behind her on the tracks. All
Oh, I've
three
seen
officers
this
exited
one.
their vehicles and began to shout
these
orders at
motherfuckers
Ms. Rios
fucked
Gonzalez.
up.
Driver, let me see your hand.
Put both hands out the window. Both hands out.
Dispatch Lupton 346. We're getting commands. Her hands are out the window at this time.
Open your door. With your right hand, open your door. Come on out.
Yeah.
Put your hands up. Come on out.
Dispatch Lipton 346. She's out of the vehicle. Hands are visible.
Go to this side.
Yeah. Vasquez.
Look at that bitch. Look where she's parked, guys. Look where this dumb bitch is parked, bro.
Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. Put your hands up high.
Not the truck.
I want you to set your phone down. At
The other dumb bitch.
You don't need it.
The one that called all these other motherfuckers
You
in.
can leave it on. Come on back. Keep coming back.
Yeah, that
Keep your
bitch.
hands up. The sound of my voice. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. Stop right there. Get down on one knee and then the other.
I got cuffs.
Go ahead.
Good? Keep your hands above your head.
Don't move.
What's going on? Why am I being... We'll explain everything in a second. Can I get
Who
my
else is in
cell
the
phone,
truck?
please? No one else is in the truck, sir. Can I please get my cell phone? We'll get it for you.
Don't worry
Stand
about
up.
yourself.
Where are you taking me? We're taking you to the car. Come on. Why? What? Do you have anything on you that's going to poke me, stick me, hurt me? No, ma'am, but can I please get my cell phone? We'll get your cell phone in a second. Is there any weapons in the car?
Ready?
No, ma'am, there's nothing on. There's no weapons in the car? Okay.
Everybody out in the car, come on.
What's going on? Ma'am, what's going on? I'll tell you in a second. Take a seat. So confused. Can I get my seat? I will get your cell phone for you. Take a seat.
The female officer handcuffs Ms. Rios-Gonzalez and places her in the back seat of the police cruiser that is parked on the train tracks. Under Section 42-4-1204 of the Colorado Revised Statutes, quote, "No person shall stop, stand, or park a vehicle, except when necessary to avoid conflict with other traffic or in compliance with the directions of a police officer or an official traffic control device on any railroad tracks. Any person who violates any provision of this section commits a Class B traffic infraction. Despite this, Section 42-4-108 of the Colorado Revised Statutes provides that, quote, "The driver of an authorized emergency vehicle, when responding to an emergency call, or when in pursuit of an actual or suspected violator of the law, may park or stand, irrespective of the provisions of this title. However, the statute also includes a caveat that, quote, "The provisions of this section shall not relieve the driver of an authorized emergency vehicle from the duty to drive with due regard for the safety of all persons, nor shall such provisions protect the driver from the consequences of such driver's reckless disregard for the safety of others." It seems obvious that parking a vehicle on train tracks, let alone leaving a handcuffed individual in the back seat of an unattended cruiser parked on railroad tracks, demonstrates a clear, reckless disregard for the safety of others, not only for Ms. Rios-Gonzalez herself, but also for any personnel or passengers of an approaching train. And it is therefore likely that a court would conclude that parking on train tracks in this situation was a violation of the Colorado Traffic Code.
I see a
Big
car
time.
seat. Clear. Okay, let's get the bed. Come across. Clear. Dispatch Lipton 348. Vehicle's clear. You can raise the channel.
Hey, but like none of the guys are telling them like, cause they're walking past those train tracks, and other guys are telling her, "Hey, yo,
Holster right here.
get
the
that
passenger seat.
truck out of the train tracks." You know what I mean? Oh
Did you see
yeah,
her
I
tell us
forgot.
anything?
None of that. Those guys are also worried about some other shit.
It took her a long time to pull over.
As Ms. Rios-Gonzalez remains handcuffed and locked in the back of the unattended cruiser, the officers search her vehicle for a firearm without taking any action.
It'd be
to
crazy. They're
ensure
like,
her safety despite her vulnerable
hopefully the
position on
train
the
doesn't pass by right
In
now.
general, as the 10th
and just
Circuit
don't say
Court of
nothing.
Appeals, which has jurisdiction over Colorado, explained in the 2003 case of Raska ex rel Raska versus Peterson, quote, "States must ensure reasonable care and safety to persons within their custody. Under the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, government officials cannot, quote, deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law." And as the Supreme Court noted in the 1977 case of Ingram versus Wright, quote, "The liberty preserved from deprivation without due process included the right to be free from and to obtain judicial relief for unjustified intrusions on personal security." Nevertheless, the Supreme Court concluded in the 1989 case of DeShaney versus Winnebago County Department of Social Services that, as a general matter, the due
1989,
process
damn.
clause does not create a state duty to protect an individual
like the
against
1900s, bro.
caused by a third party. However, the court also noted that, quote, "When the state takes a person
Fuck,
into
I
its
feel
custody
old.
and holds him there against his will, the Constitution imposes upon it a corresponding duty to assume some responsibility for his safety and general well-being." The court further explained that, quote, the affirmative duty to protect arises from the limitation which it is imposed on his freedom to act on his own behalf. It is the state's affirmative act of restraining the individual's freedom to act on his own behalf through incarceration, institutionalization, or other similar restraint of personal liberty, which is the deprivation of liberty, triggering the protections of the Due Process Clause. Still, as the Supreme Court held in the 1986 case of Daniels versus Williams, quote, the Due Process Clause is simply not implicated by a negligent act of an official causing unintended loss of or injury to life, liberty, or property. And the mere lack of due care by a state official cannot deprive an individual of life, liberty, or property under the 14th Amendment. Rather, as the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals detailed in the 1990 case of Bear...
A lot of fucking fancy words for saying, look, your life may be in danger, but if you have other lives under your hand, those lives come before yours. You know what I mean? God bless America, baby.
A government actor must act with so-called deliberate indifference towards a confined individual's safety in order for the Due Process Clause to be implicated. In the Berry case, the 10th Circuit explained that, quote, deliberate indifference does not require a finding of express intent to harm, but must involve more than ordinary lack of due care for the prisoner's interests or safety, and that while requiring a higher degree of fault than negligence, or even gross negligence, the deliberate indifference standard, quote, remains lower than the intentional and malicious infliction of injury. The court therefore concluded that, quote, an official acts with deliberate indifference if its conduct disregards a known or obvious risk that is very likely to result in the violation of a prisoner's constitutional rights. In this situation, there is a strong argument that leaving Ms. Rios-Gonzalez in the back of a police cruiser parked on train tracks would satisfy the deliberate indifference standard, because the officers demonstrated a total disregard for the obvious danger posed by parking on railroad tracks. However, as we will discuss momentarily, it is also possible that a court could conclude that a different legal standard should be applied to this situation.
She could have, because when I was behind her, she was driving slow enough.
Yeah?
So she could have tossed something, but I let
Tossed it out the window?
She could have, out that window, but... Who is that car?
No, that's
Maybe a car!
Time check. Oh my god. Oh my god. Did us medical emergent. The suspect was in the vehicle that was hit by the train.
Gotcha. And then you're in the back seat of a police cruiser. And if you haven't been in the back seat of a police cruiser, let me tell you, there's metal in front of you, some plastic, and all plastic behind you. There's no cushion. There's no nothing to make you feel comfortable. It's all fucking plastic. There's a little, actually, my bad. There is something for you to be comfortable. And there's these little pockets where your fucking handcuffed hands go in, right? So you're not like sitting on your hands. There's actually a hole there. Imagine, bro. Imagine the litigation that motherfuckers had to go through for them to get that shit. Hey, yo, we got to do something for our hands. We can't sit back here. I wonder how long that happened, bro. I bet that was a thing, bro. You know?
Watch the fence.
While the officers continue to search the vehicle, a train approaches and hits the unattended cruiser, which is still parked on the tracks. With
Crazy. That train went BAM! BAM! Like that. BAM! 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 That's what it was, bro. Fucking crazy. Is that where it happened right here?
Ms. Rios-Gonzalez in the back of a police cruiser parked on train tracks would satisfy the deliberation.
She could have, because when I was behind her,
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi, 11 Mississippi, 12 Mississippi, 14 Mississippi. Like 15 seconds, bro. Like 15 fucking seconds. Maybe 20, 15, 20 seconds. That shit was not playing.
Watch the fence.
That thing was fucking jamming, bro.
Search the vehicle. A train approaches and hits the unattended cruiser, which is still parked on the tracks with Ms. Rios-Gonzalez inside. As we discussed earlier in this episode, the Due Process Clause of the Constitution prohibits officers from taking actions that demonstrate deliberate indifference towards the well-being of individuals they have taken into custody. However, in the 2014 case of Walton versus Gomez, the 10th Circuit specified that while, quote, the 14th Amendment governs any claim of excessive force brought by a pretrial detainee who has had a judicial determination of probable cause as a prerequisite to the extended restraint of his liberty following arrest, the 4th Amendment, not the 14th, governs excessive force claims arising from, quote, treatment of an arrestee detained without a warrant and prior to any probable cause hearing. According to the 10th Circuit in the 2019 case of McCowan versus Morales, quote, a 4th Amendment excessive force claim is governed by a purely objective standard. A police officer violates an arrestee's 4th Amendment right to be free from excessive force during an arrest if the officer's actions were not objectively reasonable in light of the facts and circumstances confronting him. This reasonableness standard is generally much easier to meet than the deliberate indifference standard applied in due process cases, but it is uncertain which standard a court reviewing this situation would apply. Although the 10th Circuit seemed to make it clear in the Walton case that the 4th Amendment would apply to an arrestee who had not yet received a probable cause hearing, in the 1997 case of Berry versus Grand County, Utah, the 10th Circuit applied the deliberate indifference standard to a case involving the suicide of an individual who had been arrested without a warrant and was being held in jail before a probable cause determination. The court reasoned that the reasonableness standard would only apply to claims of excessive force, and that because jail suicide claims are, quote, considered and treated as claims based on the failure of jail officials to provide medical care for those in their custody, the deliberate indifference standard should apply. Still, it should be noted that in a concurring opinion to the decision, Circuit Judge Briscoe argued that, quote, where the 4th Amendment applies, it does not prohibit only use of excessive force, but rather prohibits any unreasonable seizure. In looking to the nature of the injury to determine the standard to be applied, the majority ignores the principle that the standard comes not from the classification of the injury the plaintiff suffered, but from the constitutional provision which was violated to cause the injury. Because the situation in this episode is largely unprecedented, it is certainly possible that a court could adopt Judge Briscoe's reasoning and conclude that the circumstances surrounding Ms. Rios-Gonzalez's arrest were unreasonable in violation of the 4th Amendment. It is also possible that a court would determine that the 14th Amendment deliberate indifference should apply, as Ms. Rios-Gonzalez was not subject to any force directly from the officers. Either way, Ms. Rios-Gonzalez has a persuasive argument that the officers violated her constitutional rights in some capacity by subjecting her to unnecessary and life-threatening danger by putting her directly into harm's way.
There may still be a firearm in the vehicle. I don't know if you guys have been through it yet. We weren't sure if she threw it or if it's still hidden in the vehicle somewhere. It took her a long time to pull over.
Right now, I just need to find out who she is. You hear that?
No, I didn't hear that.
There's a round over there in the door.
We had a date of birth on there.
That's what I was looking for.
I know you know what you're doing. I was just thinking out loud.
I'll let you look at that. I'll keep looking for the other stuff. Righty could be in the console. There's your gun.
After the accident, Ms. Rios-Gonzalez was transported to a Greeley hospital for treatment, where it was determined that she had suffered 9 broken ribs, a broken arm that required surgery, a broken leg, a fractured sternum, and back and head injuries. She spent more than a week in the hospital before being released and still has a long recovery period ahead of her. According to her attorney, Paul Wilkinson, Ms. Rios-Gonzalez remembered many details.
Yeah, you gotta milk those long recovery ahead of her. I would have been a great lawyer, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah, Louis Dabs in the building.
And told him that, quote, she was trying to get his attention, screaming at them. She tried unlocking the door. She had her hands behind her back and was frantically trying to unlock the door. Mr. Wilkinson also stated that Ms. Rios-Gonzalez intends to file a lawsuit against the police departments involved. Multiple agencies are investigating the various aspects of the incident, with the Fort Lupton Police Department handling the initial criminal investigation, the Colorado State Patrol investigating the serious injury traffic accident between the train and the cruiser, and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation reviewing the serious bodily injury that Ms. Rios-Gonzalez suffered while in process. Platteville Police Chief Carl Dwyer has confirmed that the Platteville police officer involved is on paid administrative leave while an investigation occurs, but did not divulge the officer's name. The Lupton Police Department has declined to comment on the situation. Overall, the Platteville and Fort Lupton officers get an F for demonstrating a blatant disregard for Ms. Rios-Gonzalez's personal safety, needlessly forcing her into a highly dangerous situation with no way to protect herself, and focusing more on discovering a firearm in Ms. Rios-Gonzalez's vehicle than ensuring that she did not lose her life while they did so. At the very best, these officers exhibited a complete lack of common sense and a truly astonishing level of incompetence by not only parking on railroad tracks, but then placing a handcuffed suspect in the vehicle and leaving her there unattended. It is honestly remarkable that Ms. Rios-Gonzalez survived.
It's crazy that none of the cops actually noticed that. You know what I mean? Hey, they're on the train, but they're probably like, oh, fucking. When the fuck do the trains show up? I doubt it.
I cannot rightfully assign.
Man, poor girl. She was a piece.
Entirely
she was a
piece. Ineptitude. There was nothing Ms. Rios-Gonzalez could have done to prevent the harm that was inflicted.
Now she don't walk right, bro, and it's not for the right reasons.
Ms. Rios-Gonzalez
for the wrong reasons,
and for pursuing legal action against the officers and departments responsible for her traumatic injuries. I wish her a rapid recovery from her injuries, and it'd be interesting to see how this case plays out in the courtroom. Let us know if there is an interaction.
And that slow little zoom into her, dude. This slow little zoom into her.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out my second channel for even more police interaction content.
Oh, my baby's calling. I'll be right back. Let's throw on this one. Oh, watch it with me, guys. Ahí voy, mami, ahí voy.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers the Texas Agriculture Code, illegal parking, and side-by-side vehicles, and was originally uploaded by Red Oak Video Vigilantes channel, but also featured on Lackluster's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Before we dive into the interaction, I want to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this episode, Guardio. Last year, the Federal Trade Commission announced that American consumers reported losing nearly $8.8 billion to online fraud in 2022, which is 30% higher than the previous year. Digital scams are more prevalent now than ever, and maintaining your digital security grows more important and complicated with each passing year. Guardio is a browser-based solution designed to help combat all sorts of emerging online threats, create a highly secure digital environment, and improve your online experience. Guardio acts as the first line of defense against phishing, malware, intrusive notifications, identity theft, and many more online scams. And it can detect and block them before they reach your browser and cause harm. They will also notify you in real time once your sensitive data is leaked so that you can take action right away, like changing all of your passwords before something bad happens. Guardio is also super simple to use. All you have to do is add Guardio to your browser and it will automatically scan your browser for potential threats and data leaks completely free. Once the scan is completed, you'll get a free 7-day trial to remove any existing threats and enable real-time protection. Not only does Guardio offer protection from scammers, pop-ups, and a host of other threats, you can also protect your entire family under one Guardio account, because one Guardio account covers 5 family members at no extra cost and at a super affordable price. Right now, Guardio is also offering members of the ATA community a 20% discount on their subscription when you click the link in the description. So go to guard.io/ATA and take advantage of your free scan and trial now so that you can enjoy a clean and secure online experience. Thanks again to Guardio for sponsoring this episode. On August 14th, 2022, Officer Matthew Pettit of the Red Oak Police Department was dispatched to the scene of a fire in the rural area of Red Oak, Texas. While en route to a nearby residence to ensure no one needed to be evacuated, Officer Pettit encountered several local ranchers, including the owner of Red Oak Video Vigilantes channel, Chris Moses, as they were attempting to move cattle across the road and out of the potential path of the smoke and flames. The interaction that followed was captured on Officer Pettit's body camera footage.
What are y'all doing? Move out of the way.
Hey, stop that. Move the cow.
No, move your vehicles out of the road. Okay, you stop the attitude. Need to block the road to move cows. The fire's not coming this way.
Is it not coming? You sure?
Yeah. I just came over here to
Because
make sure he wasn't home.
Our cows were running back here. We had to cross them across the road. That's why we had the road blocked.
When you block off a road that emergency vehicles are using to get somewhere, that's my concern is the fire's going to get bigger if I can't get a fire truck or an ambulance or a brush truck through.
Yeah. The reason we had it shut down because we just got through moving the cows down through there, and I just locked the gate. They're locked in there.
Okay.
You don't need nothing from us, do you?
No, I just need to make sure the road stays open. Because if any emergency vehicles come from Lancaster, if they need to bring water from Lancaster, and y'all are blocking the road.
Yeah, we didn't know if y'all wanted us
What I
to
miss,
block
guys?
it or not.
What I miss?
Okay. I need y'all to move out of the road. The fire's out, right?
They had a line just burst, so they had some hot spots come back. They went down to just one hose, but they're getting fixed.
Okay. You're going to have to field a complaint. I just got into a screaming match with Chris Moses over there.
Good.
He decides he's going to block the road because he needs to move cows. And I said, well, okay, well, how's the emergency vehicle going to get through to put out the fire that's just going to get bigger because you decide you want to block the road for cows? He's got his vehicle in the middle of the road with his red and greens flashing. There's traffic backed up. So I ain't taking his attitude.
If he calls on,
When Officer Pettit recounts his interaction with Mr. Moses and the other ranchers to Sergeant Lockhart, he misstates the facts several times. For instance, while Officer Pettit claimed that the ranchers had blocked the road, the body camera footage shows that Mr. Moses and the other rancher stopped on the side of the street with plenty of room for other vehicles to move through. Additionally, Officer Pettit tells Sergeant Lockhart that Mr. Moses had red and green lights flashing on his truck, but the body camera footage shows that Mr. Moses has a small LED light bar near the rear view mirror of his truck. Finally, Officer Pettit tells Sergeant Lockhart that Mr. Moses had his truck parked in the middle of the road and was backing up traffic. And later, Sergeant Lockhart repeats Officer Pettit's story to his supervisor, alleging that Mr. Moses had his truck parked across the entire road while a fire unit was trying to get through. However, Officer Pettit's body camera footage shows that no other vehicles were attempting to get through while the ranchers were moving the cattle, and that, as we discussed earlier, the ranchers had parked their vehicles facing a proper direction towards the sides of the road, not in the middle of the road. After the interaction, Mr. Moses obtained the body camera footage and posted it to his YouTube channel, where he confirmed in the video's description that at no time when he and his neighbor were moving cows did a fire unit drive by, and that the ranchers were already gone by the time the fire unit came down the road.
I'm busy right now. What do you need? Chris, you're not allowed to block an entire roadway, okay? I don't know if you know that, but you're not allowed to stop, stand, park in the middle of the roadway. It's against the transportation code, okay?
To move cows from one pasture to another pasture.
To block the roadway.
That's right.
That's right.
To bring my cow.
I'm not having an argument with you.
I'll take it up with Chief.
Okay, call Chief, that's fine. I'm done arguing with you.
Sarge, that was bull crap. We were blocking the road to move cows.
All right, and where in the transportation code does it say you can do that?
What?
Where in the transportation code does it say you can do that?
You know that's BS.
The transportation code's BS. You're allowed to ignore it? That's what you're saying.
It's agriculture.
Okay.
It's agriculture. Go look up the agriculture code.
Sergeant Lockhart asks the ranchers where the transportation code says that they can block the road to move cattle.
And then what's the fucking deal about moving the cows? You know what I'm saying? Like, are the cows in the area where it's fucking burning? Yeah, get them the fuck out of there. You know what I mean? Let the fucking people wait until all the cows are safe and then they go fucking home.
Ranchers respond that the agriculture code allows.
I think it's
them to
just
do
like
so.
that
Neither
cop
the
is getting
Texas
yelled at by his
Transportation
boss,
Code
and now
nor
he's
the
just trying to make.
Agriculture code
That's just what it is. I
explicitly
bet.
states that individuals are permitted to stop their vehicles on the road to move cattle. However, it does not appear that the ranchers violated any of the rules governing stopping, standing, or parking found in Section 545.302 of the Texas Transportation Code, which states that, quote, an operator may not stop, stand, or park a vehicle on the roadway side of a vehicle stopped or parked at the edge or curb of a street, on a sidewalk, in an intersection, on a crosswalk, between a safety zone and the adjacent curb, alongside or opposite a street excavation or obstruction, on a bridge or other elevated structure, or in a highway tunnel, on a railroad track, or where an official sign prohibits stopping. In addition, Section 545.407 of the Transportation Code states that, quote, an operator may not drive into or park the vehicle in the block where the fire apparatus has stopped to answer a fire alarm, or, quote, drive or park the vehicle where an ambulance has been summoned for an emergency call in a manner manner intended to interfere with the arrival or departure of the ambulance. Although this statute prohibits parking in certain ways that interfere with the emergency vehicles, as the body camera footage shows, the ranchers were not near the emergency vehicles responding to the fire while they were moving the cows. Finally, Section 12.03.001 of the Red Oak Code of Ordinances prohibits willfully obstructing any street, alley, or other public way. Now, while the ranchers' actions were willful, and it could be argued that they obstructed a portion of the road while moving the livestock,
like
because they were not
Indian
blocking traffic
calf.
and the road remained passable,
Indian-
it seems
that
likely that a
Hindu
court would
beef.
not conclude that the ranchers violated this ordinance or any other parking laws. Now, as for the Agriculture Code, Mr. Moses cited Section 143.104 in the YouTube video description as justifying his use of the code to move cattle. The statute states that, quote, "This subchapter does not prevent the movement of livestock from one location to another by herding, leading, or driving the livestock on, along, or across a highway." It is important to note that this statute does not
Driving
create any
across the
affirmative
highway,
rights
that's
or
exactly what they were doing,
authorize
right?
individuals to violate the transportation code to move cattle. Rather, it simply states that the subsection of the Agriculture Code where it is located, which prohibits owners from letting livestock roam at large on the road, does not prohibit them from moving
Dude,
livestock on the road by herding,
that's some
leading, or
American
driving
beef
them.
right there.
However, even though
That's
the
like-
Agriculture
that's-
Code
that's-
does
I bet
not
that's- those are-
expressly authorize the ranchers
Like
to
European
specific
cows
actions
mixed
in
with
moving
buffalo,
cattle. Since
right?
they did
I
not
bet
appear
that's
to be
what it
violating
is.
The transportation code, a court would likely conclude that their actions were
Buffalo,
still
baby.
legal. In fact, it appears that the ranchers stopped their vehicles in compliance with Section 545.303 of the Transportation Code, which requires that a, quote, "operator who stops or parks on a two-way roadway shall do so with the right-hand wheels of the vehicle parallel to and within 18 inches of the right-hand curb or edge of the roadway." Although the statutes cited by Mr. Moses do not explicitly authorize the type of action shown in the body camera footage, the statutory language indicates that livestock can be moved from one location to another by crossing a highway. And since it does not appear that the ranchers violated any provisions of the Transportation Code, a court would probably determine that Mr. Moses and his neighbors were permitted to move cows in this manner.
Everybody around saw it.
Okay.
And I wasn't gonna put up with that crap.
And I'm not going to put up with it either, Chris. I'm not going to put up with your attitude either. Hey, I don't need the attitude either, all right? Leave.
Small town debates. That's what it is, bro. I feel like if you're gonna be a cop, oh man, it's hard to be a cop where you're from, right? Like, who's gonna take you serious, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be a cop somewhere else, right? Where no one fucking knows you. So that's just a cop, you know. But then again, that's probably like not. I don't know. Like, I've conflicted on that argument, right? You know what I mean? Because, like, yeah, it should be like the heroes of the town trying to do good for the town. But obviously, a lot of shit gets convoluted because it's the town, small town, big hell. You know what I'm saying? Fucking. Man, tough.
Tomorrow, 8 to 5, okay? Anything
Yeah,
else I can
like
help you
police
with?
should be
Okay.
like high-standing ex-military people, bro. You know what I mean? Not failed
I got
Rambos,
you,
but
and
ex-Rambos.
We're trying to deal with something too.
I
You got
was
the
just
blows
like,
roof
hey, I don't
blocked
have
off. I'm
time
trying
for
to
your
get
mouth,
Lancaster down
dog.
here
You
too,
know what I
right?
mean?
So
maybe
if
they'll
it's a little
crack
bit
you
high
just because you
stress,
fucking deserve it.
understand?
You know what I
Say,
mean?
come
Like,
down tomorrow.
who would talk back in that country? Not one person, bro.
He filed a complaint all he wants. My job is not to take attitude from people that are telling me
Get
how to do my
arrested
job.
crying.
That's not my
Motherfucker,
job.
wish I'll tell you shit right now.
He was sitting in his truck blocking traffic. He's not moving any cows. I'm fine, but dude, I'm seriously, I'm not going to get talked to wrong by Chris Moses. Then he comes up in here, he's like, walk away, I'm talking to him.
Oh, wait, so is he not moving any cows? Because, yeah, I haven't seen one cow yet in this video. Not one.
No, that's not how this is going to go. They're flying up and down the road on that side-by-side. They're not even supposed to be driving the side-by-side on the road. I guess that's agricultural code, too.
When Mr. Moses and his neighbor return to where Officer Pettit and Sergeant Lockhart are standing, Officer Pettit claims that the ranchers are not supposed to be driving a so-called side-by-side on the road. A side-by-side, also known as a utility vehicle, is a type of so-called off-highway vehicle.
Hey, those are dope.
551A.001 of the Texas Transportation
Gavin
Code
almost lost his hand on
defines
one of
as a,
those.
quote, motor vehicle that is not a golf cart or lawnmower and is equipped with side-by-side seating for the use of the operator and a passenger, designed to propel itself with at least 4 tires in contact with the ground, designed by the manufacturer for off-highway use only, and designed by the manufacturer primarily for utility work and not for recreational purposes. According to Section 551A.
Most motherfuckers get taken to the river. Motherfuckers are definitely for entertainment purposes, bruh. oh.
051 of the Transportation Code, individuals generally cannot legally drive a utility vehicle on the road, although there are limited exceptions to the rule. Likewise, under Section 551A.052 of the Texas Transportation Code, quote, an operator may operate an unregistered off-highway vehicle on a highway in a manner authorized by this subchapter only if the vehicle displays a license plate issued under this section. Although it is not clear from body camera footage whether the side-by-side has a license plate, Section 551A.057 of the Transportation Code, which allows for the operation of off-highway vehicles on a highway if the transportation is in connection with, quote, the production, cultivation, care, harvesting, preserving, drying, processing, canning, storing,
the harvesting,
handling, shipping,
cultivation,
marketing,
care.
selling, or use of agricultural
So it was like the
products.
first
Also
three: the
states
production,
that, quote,
cultivation,
an
care,
off-highway
harvesting.
vehicle
Right? Like
operated
that was
under
like
this section is not required to display a license plate. Therefore, a side-by-side, such as the one used by the ranchers, is not required to display a license plate, so long as it is used for agricultural purposes. While the ranchers' use of the utility vehicle while moving cattle was likely agricultural, Mr. Moses and the other rancher also used the vehicle to drive to Sergeant Lockhart and Officer Pettit to make their complaint, and it is unclear whether a court would determine that Mr. Moses violated Texas law by driving on a public road.
Yes, sir. My camera's still on, but I guess Chris was, trying to help one of the neighbors move cattle, so Chris parked his vehicle across the entirety of staying back and blocked all the traffic, and we had a friggin' Lancaster fire unit trying to get through. Then after all that was done, he came down here and tried to yell at Pettit again, and I was like, no, that's not going to happen. He thinks they have some sort of agricultural exemption that lets them block the road to get cattle across. No, he had his little, blues and greens or whatever, yellow and green, whatever lights he's got on it. He was blocking both lanes because I guess they were supposed to be moving cattle across the road. And the thing is, the fire truck wasn't there yet, but it was coming. So, yeah.
Talk to the boss.
I was just giving him a heads up.
That Red O talks about the blow up.
Ooh, those arms in there. Those arms in there. Ooh, T-Rex in it.
Posted it on his YouTube channel.
Oh, I got no good news for you, buddy.
Interaction on December 7th, 2022, and he reported that Mr. Moses had filed a complaint with the department, but as of the date of his coverage, he had yet to hear back. In the video description, Mr. Moses wrote that he spoke to a state trooper in the same county and a Texas livestock agent about the situation. Mr. Moses asserted that both the state trooper and livestock agent told him that he, quote, did nothing wrong, and that, quote, the officer did not use common sense in this case and seemed to have a chip on his shoulder. Mr. Moses' YouTube channel includes other encounters with the Red Oak Police Department, and the channel's description includes a statement claiming that Red Oak officers have, quote, harassed, annoyed, and belittled him multiple times. In October of 2022, just a few months after this interaction, the Red Oak...
So that's the fire department on the homie side saying, yeah, these fucking cops are dickheads.
Posted on their Facebook page that Officer Pettit was named Officer of the Quarter for his quote-unquote attention to detail and his quote-unquote consistency and performance. Overall, Officer Pettit gets a C. Because although he did not wrongfully arrest or cite Mr. Moses and the ranchers for their alleged violations of the law, he demonstrated a lack of comprehensive knowledge about the Texas Transportation Code, conveyed a completely inaccurate version of his interaction with the ranchers to Sergeant Lockhart, and maintained a hostile
I bet he liked this channel until he got raided.
Now, although I cannot say for certain that Officer Pettit intentionally lied to Sergeant Lockhart about the ranchers' actions, his story is clearly contradicted at multiple points by his own body camera footage, and it would not be a stretch of the imagination to conclude that he, at the very least, allowed his interpretation of the situation to be biased by his seemingly negative opinion of Mr. Moses. This interaction demonstrates why it is so essential for officers to focus on facts rather than feelings when dealing with citizens, and to accurately recount information to other officers. Mr. Moses gets an A. for defending the legality of his behavior, obtaining and sharing the body camera footage after the encounter, and filing a complaint with the department. While it is possible that Mr. Moses may have used the side-by-side for non-agricultural purposes when he drove over to speak to Sergeant Lockhart, for the most part, it seems that Mr. Moses and the other ranchers stayed within the boundaries of Texas law while moving their livestock to a safer location, even though they may have been justified in taking more drastic actions given the exigent circumstances. I commend Mr. Moses for having the courage to not only file a complaint about this encounter, but also to share his various experiences with the Red Oak Police Department on his YouTube channel. And I hope that with time and officer education, the relationship between Mr. Moses and the department can become a more positive one. Let us know if there is an interaction or a legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out my second channel for even more police interaction content.
Cop gets Walmart sued for $10 million. Oof. Let's see how that fucker fucked up. Hey, y'all ever seen Injustice 1 through 5? Oof. Oof. This thing's long, but it's fucking worth it. It's fucking nuts. Nuts.
And what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers trespassing, the state action doctrine, and mistaken identities, and is brought to us by Tony Effin Wynn's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. On November 27th, 2022, Tony Knock Wynn and his girlfriend Lauren Caldwell were shopping at a Walmart location in Spring Hill, Florida, as they had many times before, when Walmart Asset Protection Specialist David Pettigrew mistook Mr. Wynn for another individual named Cody Vondelinde. Because Mr. Vondelinde had been trespassed from that Walmart location in 2018 and was not permitted to return, Mr. Pettigrew called 911 to report that Mr. Vondelinde was in the store. However, Mr. Pettigrew admitted on the call that he did not get a good look at the individual he believed to be Mr. Vondelinde because he did not want to make eye contact with him. Deputy Michael McNeely of the Hernando County Sheriff's Office responded to the call, and Mr. Pettigrew pointed him toward Mr. Wynn, asserting that he was Mr. Vondelinde. According to Deputy McNeely, he called out, "Cody," as he approached Mr. Wynn, and Mr. Wynn turned around. Deputy McNeely immediately placed Mr. Wynn in handcuffs, and Ms. Caldwell began to record the encounter on her cell phone.
A year?
Yeah, you can't come back.
That was like 10, 15 years
There's
ago.
no
What
limit
are
on
you
that.
talking about?
There's no limit on that. When
We
you're
are grocery
trespassing, you can't
shopping.
come back.
What are you talking about?
You're trespassing this way, you're not allowed to be here, alright?
Where are you taking
Walmart
him?
wants you trespass as well, so you
Wait.
For what? For grocery shopping?
Hey, that guy right
No,
there.
for being trespassed.
For grocery shopping?
Hey, look, record him right there. Look, record him too. That fat guy. That fat guy.
What is going on?
He a cop too.
Where are you taking
Why are
him?
you pulling me? You don't have to pull me. You know I'm disabled, right? I have back issues. You don't have to pull me, sir.
You should be ashamed of yourself. I cannot believe you're doing this. Where are you taking him? Where are the keys?
I'm on party.
I cannot believe you're doing this. You should be ashamed of yourself. I need the keys.
Step away.
Hold on, calm down. Just calm down. Just calm down.
I'll give her the car keys.
This is disgusting.
Sorry you feel that.
Sorry, I feel that way? No, that's a fact. You should be ashamed of yourself. What did he do? He has not done anything.
That's not true.
This is like 10 years ago.
I get you. With one year trespass, you can't come back.
No, they told me in court it was only a year.
We'll get all that sorted out, alright? That's true. I'll let you
Ooh,
know.
hoo, hoo, hoo.
Mr. Wynn tells Deputy McNeely that although he was trespassed from the store about 10 years ago, the court informed him that the warning only lasted for 1 year, and Deputy McNeely replies that he will investigate this claim. It seems that Mr. Wynn is referring to a 2013 shoplifting arrest that resulted in him being trespassed from the Walmart in question. Although the court records from the criminal case do not include details about the length of the enforceability of Mr.
Yeah, because
Wynn's
I'm not going to lie, bro. Old boy look like he's dabbled in the dark arts. You know what I'm saying? White magical dust, bro. You know? Like, so, like, you know. But it's been years ago. Like, people change. You know? Like, I don't know. He probably did steal, but it wasn't conclusive enough to show that he was stealing or whatever the fuck. You know? It's like, yo, walk in. They're gonna look at me, but you take everything. I got you.
But
yeah.
It is more than
motherfucking convicts are smart, bro. I'm not gonna lie, dude. And
they
they focused half their energy on like working and making money, not scamming people, right? Or maybe even scamming people with but like not like that, you know what I mean? Like fucking kill it. They'd kill it.
Re-invited to shop at the store.
They do kill
Under
it.
Section 810.08 of the Florida statutes, quote, whoever, without being authorized, licensed, or invited, willfully enters or remains in any structure, or having been authorized, licensed, or invited, is warned by the owner or lessee of the premises, or by a person authorized by the owner or lessee to depart and refuses to do so, commits the offense of trespass. In general, when privately owned property such as a Walmart store is held open to the public, the owner of the property is considered to have issued an implied invitation to members of the public to enter without express permission. However, by issuing a trespass warning, the owner or their agent can revoke a certain individual's invitation to enter the premises, so that if they return to the property, they do so without being authorized, licensed, or invited to enter and violate the trespassing statute. In this situation, Walmart may have issued a trespass warning to Mr. Wynn in 2013 that was only valid for a year. Once the trespass warning expired, Mr. Wynn's implied invitation to shop at the store would be considered to be reinstated, and he would be able to enter the Walmart without trespassing. However, even if the trespass warning did not have an expiration date, Mr. Wynn would have an argument that he did not violate the trespass statute because he had regularly been shopping at the Walmart location in question without any issues. Based on this fact, Mr. Wynn may be able to assert that his invitation to shop had been reinstated by the store's acquiescence to his repeated presence, though legal precedent supporting this argument is limited.
Are you good to take these items for me? Hold on to them. Thank you. And these are all his items, correct? Yeah. Okay, very good. All right. Can you...
That's such a dick move by a cop, by the way. That's a lightweight dick ass move by a cop. When he knows he's gonna take him to jail, right? He's gonna take him to jail, and when he gets out, he's got nothing on him, bro. Not even a fucking lighter for a cigarette, bro. Like, what a dick.
You guys should be
That motherfucker, that's the cop.
We are literally trying to grocery shop and Christmas shop. It's disgusting.
Ooh, so it's around Christmas. And that guy knows the deal.
Shameful.
Yep. And what's your name? Step in here real quick. Please don't film it. Right? This is off limits, okay? It's private establishment. They don't want you to. They don't want you to film it here. It's a private establishment.
Well, then I'm not stepping
That's fine. What's your name?
Deputy McNeely states that the Walmart employee, who is presumably Mr. Pettigrew, does not want Ms. Caldwell to film inside the office, so she refuses to step inside. As we have discussed many times on ATA, several federal circuit courts have recognized that
if you're recording me, I'm recording you. And Walmart is recording
the 11th
you.
Circuit, which has jurisdiction over Florida. In the 2000 case of Smith versus City of Cumming, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals held that individuals have, quote, a First Amendment right, subject to reasonable time, manner, and place restrictions, to photograph or videotape police conduct, and that, quote, the First Amendment protects the right to gather information about what public officials do on public property, and specifically, a right to record matters of public interest. However, it is important to note that the First Amendment by its terms...
I think the cop was doing that because he's homies with that other guy, I bet. You know what I mean? That guy that could never be a cop, right? And they're giving that homie a shot, and they're homies or whatever the fuck, and he gets him in trouble, and that's why he could never be a
only
cop.
Prohibits government actors from abridging the freedom of speech and does not apply to the actions of private persons. As the Supreme Court explained in the 2019 case of Manhattan Community Access Corp. versus Halleck, quote, the free speech clause of the First Amendment constrains governmental actors and protects private actors. To draw the line between governmental and private, this court applies what is known as the state action doctrine. The court also noted that under the state
Walmart should be government. What the fuck?
Entity can qualify as a state actor in a few limited circumstances, including, for example, when the private entity performs a traditional, exclusive public function, when the government compels the private entity to take a particular action, or when the government acts jointly with the private entity. Now, while Walmart is open to the public, it is highly unlikely that a court...
I think that's the fucking goal if you ever start a business, to be like in cahoots with the government, right? You know what I mean? Like, the government... You're so good at your business that the government needs you. You know, like that would be fucking nuts.
The store performs a, quote, traditional exclusive public function because, as outlined in the Halleck case, a private entity only qualifies as a state actor under this exception when it exercises, quote, powers traditionally exclusively reserved to the state. And, quote, it is not enough that the function serves the public good or the public interest in some way. For this reason, Walmart almost certainly has the right to ban filming on its property. And, in fact, according to the Walmart website, the company has instituted a policy prohibiting, quote-unquote, unauthorized filming inside stores. And Ms. Caldwell's situation is more complex than Walmart simply restricting filming in its stores.
Because they're arresting her dude.
Was the one who informed Ms. Caldwell that she was not permitted to film. And although there may be an argument that this was state action that infringed on her right to record, given the fact that Deputy McNeely simply appeared to be expressing the wishes of a private party to limit filming in a room that was not open to the public on private property, a court would probably conclude that Ms. Caldwell's First Amendment rights were not violated.
The manager here is requesting that you be trespassed from here. If you come back, you're subject to arrest. Do you understand that? From this Walmart. He's asking that you be trespassed. He doesn't have to have a reason. If you have a house and you don't want someone at your house for whatever reason in Florida, you can have them trespass. It's the same for Walmart. He's asking that you be trespassed. I'm giving you a warning.
I understand, but I would like a reason.
You don't have to have a reason.
Really? I think that's
straight.
Crazy.
It is. This is your
Ooh.
So the reason why.
But that's like not this Walmart, so every other Walmart, right? So they have the, so once they start banning her at one Walmart, then they could ban her at every other Walmart, right? Because she has the stigma that she's a thief or whatever the fuck, right? That's a lawsuit for sure. Ooh, oh boy. Should know your mouthpiece.
It's because he's been warned in the past. There's no time limit on it.
You're taking him to jail?
Yes, it's called trespass after warning. He gave him a warning in the past, and he's back.
And then after the court told him that it's only been a year and it's been fucking 10 years or whatever the fuck.
Exactly. Right now he's being detained.
Sorry, sit. You gotta sit the fuck down, CIT.
It's a misdemeanor. It's not a big crime.
But you're taking him to jail?
For a misdemeanor.
That before I do. He's being detained right now, okay? So I need you to leave. You're being trespassed.
For foreign felonies and hella misdemeanors.
Caldwell that she is being trespassed from the Walmart location and that the store does not need to have a reason to do so. In general, this statement is mostly true, although there are legal limitations on a business owner's ability to discriminate based on protected classes, such as race, religion, or national origin. As the Supreme Court of Florida explained in the 1976 case of Korn versus State, where property such as a shopping mall is, quote, privately owned but utilized for monetary gain and hence open to the public, it is considered, quote unquote, quasi-public in the nature of its use because, quote, an invitation.
So a lot of these places that are fucking, oh, this is private property, bro. But if you're open to the public for monetary gain, hence, or utilized for monetary gain and hence open to the public, then it's quasi-public in the nature of its use. Ooh-wee.
Is extended to the public to shop to the financial advantage of the owner. For this reason, the court noted that, quote, reasonable non-discriminatory restrictions pertaining to the use of the mall may be placed on the users, such as the requirement that shoes be worn. As any invitation, it can be limited, and upon abuse, be withdrawn or revoked. In other words, as the 5th District Court of Appeal...
Yo, I never understood that shit. No shoes, no shirt, no service. You know what I mean? And that was just literally just to get rid of the bums, right? You know what I mean? Like, and I was like back in the day when shoes was probably hard to get, right? Like, I bet shout out to fucking Payless. I had Payless shoes growing up. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to fucking Payless, dude. 100%. Walmart now doing all the God's work and all that shit. But you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Payless.
Of Florida summarized in the 1993 case of State versus Woods. Although, quote, shopping malls are quasi-public places which must be open to the public on a non-discriminatory basis, the owner of such a mall does not lose all control over its private ownership interest. Given Walmart's similarity to a shopping mall, it seems likely that a court would recognize that Walmart has the right to terminate an individual's invitation to shop there based on reasonable, non-discriminatory grounds, while also limiting the store's ability to ban shoppers for no reason whatsoever.
I'm not leaving him. I'm not leaving him. And I always support you guys, but this is disgusting. This is horrible.
Right there, he's being told. Oh. Did you see the court thing?
So the trespass has been confirmed. He has been trespassed here actually this year. So he will not be staying here. He's going to be going to jail tonight. He will have a bond.
Oh.
Bond him out, okay?
So he got confirmed. How the fuck did the lawsuit happen? Now I'm confused. You know what I'm saying? Like...
You understand that?
After confirming that a trespass warning had been issued for Mr. Von der Linde, Deputy McNeil...
That guy doesn't look so confident, though. That other guy in the back. He doesn't look that confident.
informs Ms. Caldwell that Mr. Nguyen, whom he still believes to be Mr. Von der Linde, is being arrested for trespass and taken to jail. In the 1971 case of Hill versus California, the Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of an arrest of an individual when the officers mistook him for another individual, concluding that, quote, when the police have probable cause to arrest one party, and when they reasonably mistake a second party for the first party, then the arrest of the second party is a valid arrest. The court noted that although the officers' so-called subjective good faith belief that they had arrested the right suspect would not in itself justify the arrest, quote, when judged in accordance with the factual...
Oh, and he's Asian too, so he's like racist? Oh! I guess it's racist to any race, right? Every Mexican, every Asian, every black guy looks the same, right? I mean, I mistake every white person, so you know what I'm saying? Like,
whether or not a court would conclude that this belief was
so
reasonable
funny, dude.
is less clear.
That's funny too, bro, because I'm white as fuck, bro.
Was Mr. Von der Linde, Deputy McNeely relied on Mr. Pettigrew's identification.
Where the fuck is it? Why am I tripping, bro?
Turned around when he called out the name Cody, and courts have consistently held that officers may rely on information from witnesses with personal knowledge of an event when making an arrest. However, Deputy McNeely failed to take any other steps to confirm Mr. Nguyen's identity, and it is possible that a court would conclude that his lack of reliable information about Mr. Nguyen's identity could render the mistake unreasonable, thereby making the arrest unconstitutional. That being said, courts have long recognized that officers are not required to explore every avenue of investigation or even sift through conflicting evidence before making an arrest, and it is also possible that a court would determine that Deputy McNeely's mistake was reasonable.
This is horrible. We just came from the Springs. We're in this Jeep with a boat and a trailer.
I got you. But regardless, I need you to get in the car and drive away because if you come back here, you're going to also be going to jail for trespass. Okay?
This is disgusting.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Can I speak to him?
It's up to him.
Dude, the guy inside, I was thinking like, oh, don't come, tell him not to record or whatever the fuck. We don't want them to record. Because they know that they got the wrong guy on camera. And just because the cop's like, no, that's him, and he's getting the reassurance from the guy there at the store that that's him. The cop is acting because the store is telling them that it's him. Wow. They could have easily cleared it up if they let that girl in to check the fucking cameras and be like, no, that's not my boyfriend. Let him go. Whoa.
Can I at least get my phone and take my medication first, sir? Because
You can't take any medications before going to the detention center. Whatever you need, they can get you there.
Can I have my phone? And call Mike. That's fine.
You can take your phone if you want. You can't use it.
No,
you can take it.
Yeah, I just need it for phone numbers. Yeah.
My medication. What if it was like, fuck it, I'm gonna fucking pop some acid.
Sure.
I'm just gonna go to Mike's house. Yeah. I'm gonna call them.
Please drive until next
Mike's house? Bitch, you told me you stopped talking to Mike.
That's fine. Alright.
That's fine.
Well, where the fuck you want me to go? Where the fuck you want me to go? You said I was gonna spend the night with you, and now look at where you're going.
County Jail, where he collected Mr. Wynn's identification for intake and discovered that he was not Mr. Von der Linde. After confirming Mr. Wynn's identity, Deputy McNeely apologized to Mr. Wynn and began to drive him home. However, while still en route, Deputy McNeely received a phone call from his supervising sergeant, who requested a picture of Mr. Wynn and his identification. Deputy McNeely then detained Mr. Wynn on the side of the road while his supervisor conducted an investigation. And when Mr. Wynn's previous trespass warning was discovered, Deputy McNeely drove Mr. Wynn back to the jail to book him for trespassing. On November 29th, 2022,
Wait, what?
Trust of Mr. Wynn and his eyes to Mr. Wynn and began to drive him home. However, while still en route, Deputy McNeely received a phone call from his supervising sergeant, who requested a picture of Mr. Wynn and his identification. Deputy McNeely then detained Mr. Wynn on the side of the road while his supervisor conducted an investigation. And when Mr. Wynn's previous trespass warning was discovered, Deputy McNeely drove Mr. Wynn back to the jail to book him for trespassing.
But the previous one from 9 some years ago, right?
Mr. Wynn was officially charged with trespassing. But on January 25th, drove Mr. Wynn back to the jail to book him for trespassing. On November 29th, 2022, Mr. Wynn was officially charged with trespassing. But on January 25th, 2023, the Assistant State Attorney filed an announcement of no information that stated that the case did not warrant prosecution, and the case was dismissed that same day. In January of 2023, the Hernando County Sheriff's Office issued a statement attempting to justify the officer's actions, arguing that, quote, the trespass warning issued at Walmart was still in effect after having never been rescinded by officials there. Therefore, probable cause existed for the arrest of Tony Wynn for the trespass in question. He was processed and charged accordingly. On March 2nd, 2023, Mr. Wynn filed a federal lawsuit against Walmart, Mr. Pettigrew, and Deputy McNeely, alleging $10 million in damages for claims including racial profiling, false imprisonment, and false arrest.
Yeah.
As of the date of writing this episode, this case is still pending. Overall,
crazy
gets a B- because although he arrested the wrong person, it seemed to be a genuine mistake, and he immediately apologized to Mr. Wynn when he discovered his error. Deputy McNeely also maintained a...
And like, not just that, it was what the fucking store was telling him, right? It was this guy. It was this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Right? And that's why that other fucking security guard, whatever the fuck, didn't want to get recorded or whatever.
Professional demeanor throughout the encounter and demonstrated a reasonable understanding of Florida's trespassing laws. That being said, his failure to take any actions to confirm Mr. Wynn's identity before arresting him was a substantial oversight, particularly in consideration of how simple it would be to ask.
He took that dude's word for granted, right? And that's the problem with police. That's the problem with police. Yeah. With motherfuckers acting on for the law and just being above it, right? Like, that's sick, right? Like that girl was saying, that's sick.
Mr. Wynn for his name or identification. This interaction demonstrates how even well-meaning officers can make mistakes that violate the Constitution. And although I cannot say for certain whether a court would conclude that Deputy McNeely's actions infringed on Mr. Wynn's rights, his error certainly had a profound negative impact on Mr. Wynn. Mr. Wynn and Ms. Caldwell get an A+ for calmly and respectfully voicing their confusion and dissent while still complying with lawful orders.
Look at those glasses. Look at those glasses. Sheesh. Yo, I went to jail, right? And I have a fucking case. Look me up. And I thought this whole case was bullshit because the bitch hit me and I was being attacked, and because I took her phone to call the police because I didn't have a phone, I got what is it? Fake imprisonment or whatever the fuck, false imprisonment. That I was holding her hostage, right? And when I just wanted her to get out of my fucking house, and she started beating me up because I packed her stuff while she was taking a shower, because she was mad that I made her late for work. Because she woke up late, right? And it was just a fucking crazy encounter. But at the end of the day, I went to court looking like a bum. The same outfit that I went to jail in, I fucking was wearing it in jail, and they got mad at me for it, bro. And look at this motherfucker; he knows how to present himself. You know what I mean? Like you can't make a statement in jail. You gotta fucking you gotta play ball. You gotta play ball. And then look at these. Look at those fucking glasses. Look at that. Oof. 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 This fool in the back too. And then look at her chain, dog. Look at her chain. Help me.
Caldwell's cell phone and taking appropriate legal action to challenge the constitutionality of Mr. Wynn's arrest. Although the legal issues involved in this case are far from black and white, I commend Mr. Wynn and Ms. Caldwell for taking a stand against the injuries that Mr. Wynn experienced. Regardless of the outcome of the legal case, their actions have raised awareness among the community regarding these important subjects, and have hopefully served to remind police officers who hear about this situation of the importance of conducting thorough investigations. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out my second channel for even more police interaction content.
Crazy. Cops get caught on camera. Everything, we just saw that one. How to turn a simple question into a massive lawsuit.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and the what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers stop and ID laws, obstruction, and unlawful seizures, and is brought to us by Long Island Audit's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. On October 31st, 2022, officers Dinatale and Yeldell of the Trenton Police Department stopped Mr. Daniel and Ms. Myra on the street after being dispatched to a call that described a male and female in a gray truck with Pennsylvania tags. Long Island Audit stated in his video that the officers were responding to a call regarding a custody dispute, although Mr. Daniel and Ms. Myra's role in the alleged dispute was unclear. The interaction that followed was captured on Officer Dinatale's body camera.
Somebody else was riding in the truck with you? Y'all just got out of the truck?
Wait, you're saying somebody riding it?
Y'all just got out of this truck, right? No. For a while. Were y'all just sitting in the truck?
I mean...
Yes, right? You was just sitting in the truck?
You're just sitting... What? I don't want to incriminate myself. So you're not incriminating yourself, you're answering a question. Which can potentially incriminate myself, so I don't answer questions. We were here for a long time.
No, I'm not worried about if you was here for a long time or not. It's pertaining to the call, but you're not in any trouble.
We're here for a call for service. We're trying to see if my partner's asking you a question to see if you pertain to the call. If you don't, then you'll be on your way, and we'll be on our way handling our job.
No, it's fine. I understand.
There's no need to get smart with me.
No, I'm not trying to get smart with you. I was just saying, like, I don't want to get in trouble for doing nothing wrong.
Okay.
Somebody else get wrong with you?
That they deserve. On October 31st, 2022, officers Dinatale and Yeldell of the Trenton Police Department stopped Mr. Daniel and Ms. Myra on the street after being dispatched to a call that described a male and female in a gray truck with Pennsylvania tags. Long Island Audit stated in his video that the officers were responding to a call regarding a custody dispute, although Mr. Daniel and Ms. Myra's role in the alleged dispute was unclear. The interaction that followed was captured on Officer Dinatale's body camera.
Somebody else get wrong with you? Somebody else was riding in the truck with you? Y'all just got out of the truck?
Wait, you're saying somebody riding it?
Y'all just got out of this truck, right? No.
Parked for a while.
Were y'all just sitting in the truck?
I mean...
Yes, right? You was just sitting in the truck?
You're just sitting... What? I don't answer questions. I don't want to incriminate myself.
You're not
I don't want to incriminate
myself.
Which can potentially incriminate myself, so I don't answer questions. We were here for a long time.
No, I'm not worried about if you was here for a long time or not. It's pertaining to the call, but you're not in any trouble.
We're here for a call for service. We're trying to see if my partner's asking you a question to see if you pertain to the call. If you don't,
Miranda's like, no thank you.
And we'll be on our way handling our job.
No, it's fine. I understand.
There's no need to get smart with me.
No, I'm not trying to get smart with you. I was just saying, like, I don't want to get in trouble for doing nothing wrong.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm just standing here.
There's no need to get smart with a police officer.
I wasn't trying to get smart with you.
Okay.
Keep it that way. I'm not trying to give you a hard time.
Keep it that way. Can you give a description of the vehicle?
Said it was a Dodge Ram truck, red.
To be fair, I bet all these motherfuckers are doing something they shouldn't be doing, but the cops are doing things that they shouldn't be doing too. So, who should be in more trouble, right? You know what I'm saying? That's the fine line between good and bad, right? I guess that's the tap dance.
You have a responsibility to check it out. If you guys are doing nothing wrong, then you guys are doing nothing wrong.
That's fine. I'm just curious.
Do you guys have IDs just so I can see who I'm talking with?
I do, but I don't feel like I have to give it to you.
Well, you do.
I don't.
I'm telling you, you do.
In the state of New Jersey, it's a non-ID state. I haven't committed a crime.
Officer Di Natale demands Mr. Daniel identify himself as part of an investigation, and Mr. Daniel refuses, arguing that New Jersey is not...
Hey, old boy said that, and look at homie right here looking at his cop. Well, what you gonna say then?
ID state. As we have discussed many times.
Oh my God, that's such a good one.
Statutes are laws that authorize law enforcement.
Well, New Jersey's a no ID state, so I don't have to show you nothing unless I fucking committed a crime.
In the landmark Terry case, the Supreme Court has consistently recognized that an officer's reasonable suspicion that an individual may be involved in criminal activity allows the officer to briefly detain them and take limited additional steps to investigate the situation further. Although it is well established that an officer may ask a suspect to identify himself during a Terry stop, prior to 2004, there was an open question regarding whether a suspect could be arrested and prosecuted for refusing to answer. This issue was resolved in the case of Highbull versus Nevada, where the Supreme Court held that Terry principles authorize states to enact laws requiring suspects to disclose their names if they are legally detained based on reasonable suspicion. In upholding an individual's arrest for refusing to identify himself, the court in Highbull emphasized that the Nevada statute was, quote, consistent with Fourth Amendment prohibitions against unreasonable searches and seizures, and that the stop in question was based on reasonable suspicion. However, because New Jersey is not a stop and ID state, New Jersey police officers typically cannot arrest an individual for refusing to identify themselves outside of a traffic stop, unless the officer making an arrest or issuing a summons. Additionally, officers cannot compel individuals to identify themselves under threat of arrest without
if the room was cold,
that they are involved in illegal activity, even if the state has a valid stop and identify statute in place. Long Island Audit reported that the officers were initially called for a custody dispute rather than a criminal offense, and although this information has not been externally confirmed, Officer Di Natale stated that the officers were responding to a call for service, and that their investigation did not mean Mr. Daniel had done anything wrong. Because it does not seem that the officers had the reasonable suspicion necessary to detain Mr. Daniel, it is unlikely that a court would find that Mr. Daniel was obligated to identify himself in this situation, even if New Jersey had a stop and identify law in place.
I haven't committed a crime. Can I have your name and badge number, by the way? Your badge number.
I need your IDs.
I need you guys' name and badge numbers. I'm interacting. I don't even know who you guys are. I'm interacting with police. You guys need to identify.
Right now.
Whoa, the other guy's saying, whoa.
Cameras are running.
Why are you intimidating me like this?
I'm not intimidating you.
You came up to me really aggressively.
I'm not intimidating you.
Why are you being aggressive like this? I haven't committed a crime. You're trying to ID me. I haven't done anything wrong.
We got a call.
Yeah, he was doing definitely something he shouldn't be doing, bro.
You guys being described.
You're trying to jump the gun and do wait. You're not.
Those girls like, shut up, Michael.
Right.
Alright, Tepper, what's the complaint about? Because we're out with these two parties. We're trying to identify them and figure out what's going on.
The truck was identified. Not you. Not her. I asked whether or not you were sitting in the truck because something could have been wrong with her. Something could have been wrong with you. That's why I asked you, right? But then you got smart with me.
I wasn't trying to be smart.
We have an obligation.
Cops should stop saying that shit.
And we get a call.
Then you got smart with me.
You were doing anything wrong.
Nah.
My dispatcher.
But then you started acting different. You started acting funny. You know what I mean? Not start smart with me. No.
Did I do something wrong?
Oh, no.
So I'm asking you to identify yourself.
And I am refusing to identify myself because I have not committed a crime. And in New Jersey, this is a non-ID state. I refuse to identify myself. You asked me, and I refused. I feel like
this is an investigation, and I'm asking you to
investigate.
So investigate and find out who I am until I fucking commit a crime, right?
I'm not obstructing.
The officer places Mr. Daniel in handcuffs. accusing him of obstruction for refusing to identify himself. Section 2C 29-1 of the New Jersey Revised.
You know what, bro? I've always wanted to push these limits, bro. But at the end of the day, it's a waste of time for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Even if like you got nothing on you, bro, it's just like fucking why? Give me a fucking ID, homie. If you ain't doing nothing, give me a... If you are doing something, defend yourself, homie. Because that's the law. You know? But if you're not doing nothing, give up your fucking shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck it, you caught me. I ain't doing shit. Here you go, dog. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it should fucking work, bro. But yeah, like I said, like I'm profiling, bro. I'm looking at Maria there. She looking hot and spicy. She's a hot tamale, homie. Hot tamale, bro.
Statute states that, quote, a person commits an offense if he purposely obstructs, impairs, or perverts the administration of law or other governmental function, or prevents or attempts to prevent a public servant from lawfully performing an official function by means of flight, intimidation, force, violence, or physical interference or obstacle, or by means of any independently unlawful act. In the 1985 case of State v. Pearlstein, the Appellate Division of the Superior Court of New Jersey expressly indicated that the application of this statute is, quote, limited to situations where there is violent or physical interference, or where other acts occur which are unlawful independently of the purpose to obstruct government. Based in part on this decision, the same court held in the 2005 case State v. Camillo that an individual's failure to identify himself was insufficient to support a conviction for obstruction. In this case, the court held that Mr. Camillo's refusal to provide his name, date of birth, and social security number to a state trooper who needed the information to prepare an incident report did not constitute obstruction under Section 2C 29-1. While Trooper Dykeman gave Mr. Camillo an ultimatum and said that he would be arrested and charged with obstruction if he did not provide the requested information, the court noted that, quote, simply obstructing, impairing, or perverting the administration of law or the governmental function was not a statutory violation, and that, quote, the obstruction must be carried out in a manner described in the statute, by means of flight, intimidation, force, violence, or physical interference or obstacle, or by means of any independently unlawful act. Because Mr. Camillo did not physically interfere with Trooper Dykeman or otherwise violate the law, the court ultimately concluded that while Mr. Camillo's actions may have obstructed the trooper from preparing his report, his conduct was not a violation of the obstruction statute. Based on this precedent, it is unlikely that a court would determine that Mr. Daniel committed obstruction by refusing to identify himself, even if his refusal actually limited the officer's ability to investigate.
I'm requesting a supervisor. I'm requesting a supervisor. I want a supervisor. I did nothing wrong. No.
Relax.
You're obstructing. I'm not obstructing.
Man, back up. Back up. You're going to be arrested too. Back up.
I'm requesting a supervisor. Do not consent to function. Relax. I do not. This is against my First Amendment. This is against my Fourth Amendment. Why are you putting me in? Why are you? Okay, I will get in. I'm not resisting. He's sticking in my pockets. He's sticking in my pockets.
No, what are you doing?
I'm patting you down. It's called search.
I want your badge number.
Okay, it's Officer Detail 7.
I'm requesting a supervisor.
Have a seat in the car.
I'm requesting a supervisor.
No one's intimidating. You're intimidating me.
My wallet's on the floor.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh my God! Don't touch me.
Hot tamale, hot tamale. Can I want them to say hi?
Don't touch me.
Hot tamale. She looks so soft in that sweater.
I'm not fighting.
Is this your phone right here?
I want my supervisor. Baby, what? I know. I want a supervisor.
Both disorderly persons obstructing an investigation, didn't want ID. Told him he was being detained, didn't want to provide identification. Female started getting rowdy, started grabbing at us, tried to prevent us from searching him incidental to arrest. Both are under arrest for disorderly person. So Daniel, I want you to understand something. When the police are conducting an investigation, right, doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong.
See,
but you have to
this right here is like, I think should be schooled down by everyone, bro. If a cop gets in the car seat and then tries to explain to you what happened and try to get you to agree, fuck them. I don't answer any questions. I'm already detained. I need a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck that shit. Because he's trying to get you to agree. So once you agree to him in court, you're fucked. Well, you agreed. So you agreed to what he was saying to you afterwards, after the fact. After you were in trouble. right? So obviously you were doing something wrong, right? Or whatever the fuck. I don't know what the fucking reasoning would be. But that should be super illegal by if any cop does that shit. Every cop should fucking... That's like when you smack your younger sibling and they start crying and you're like, oh, stop crying, stop crying, stop crying. No, I'll give you ice cream, I'll give you candy, I'll fucking... You know what I mean? Like that's what's going on right there. You know what I mean? And like even worse, you're not even getting ice cream. You know, you're probably still gonna go to jail. You know what I mean?
Identify, okay? It's called search incidental to arrest. So I pat you down, and I have to pat everywhere.
All right, but
I'm
being
across the
illegally
board.
arrested because I haven't committed a crime.
But it's not. It's called...
Not identifying myself is not illegal.
You're obstructing the administration
I'm not
of investigation.
obstructing an investigation because I'm not identifying myself. That's not
You are.
obstructing. I'm just trying to explain to you guys that I don't have to identify myself. I'm letting you guys know. Look, I believe I'm a strong believer. I have identified myself. Yes, of course. I'm being placed under arrest, so lawfully, under the law, I have to identify myself. Being suspicious is not a crime. I don't have to identify myself.
So
It's not obstruction.
So remember how I was saying dispatch? What I said our dispatchers are telling us? A male and a female in a Dodge Ram gray color.
Bro, I got kidnapped by the police in Watsonville for jaywalking, right? And the jaywalking was because I walked into the island. And in the island, there's a button. So you can press the button so you can continue walking, right? I look right. I look left. Car was coming. Turned out that car was a cop, right? I didn't think much of it because I'm going to get to the middle of the island. And then sure enough, that fucking cop pulled me over for jaywalking, right? But I never jaywalked. I waited until the light turned red. I walked across the island because it's a long road. You know what I mean? You get on the island and then you can walk all the way across. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure that's what it was designed for. I had this big old argument. I was on live stream and everything. And I told that motherfucker to just kidnap me, bro. You know what? Take me to jail. Kidnap me. And he was talking all the way to the jailhouse. That motherfucking cop, or it wasn't even that cop. It was a different cop saying that, oh, my dog's going to go to the pound. You know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, what a guy, dude. You're going to fucking take my... Like, they're punks, bro. Like, it's just another gang. You know, and it's like my dad wanted me to be a police officer, and to a certain point, bro, I should have, I should have been like, huh, I just joined the bigger gang. You know what I mean? Like I could have, but like in my heart, I know that's what it would have been. You know, like I just would have been a bad person. I feel like I would have abused that power. I feel like, dude, you know, quote me on that whenever I get all fucking. If something ever happens great with me, bro, be like, hey, yo, look, dog, you look, and I'll be like, yeah, dude, keep me true, blue. You know, fucking, hey, it's scary, homie. Greatness is crazy, homie.
Fine, but you haven't observed any crime. I'm just standing.
So we have a right to
What is it? Power corrupts absolutely.
Right, you can ask.
Right, and even just a taste of the pie, right? Not even a fucking.
And if the
Not even a
refuses,
slice.
The police officer has an obligation to now, if they refuse to give information, we now detain. If they still refuse, it's an arrest.
Officer Di Natale claims that members of law enforcement have the authority to identify citizens during investigations, detain them if they will not identify themselves, and then arrest them if they still refuse to identify. Officer Di Natale seems to be referring to the three basic levels of police interactions: consensual encounters, investigatory detentions, and arrests. During a consensual encounter with a citizen, officers can ask questions, including an individual's name, without any suspicion they have committed a crime. However, as the Supreme Court stated in the 1983 case of Florida versus Royer, the individual, quote, need not answer any question put to him, and, quote, he may decline to listen to the questions at all and may go on his way. In order to detain an individual and prevent them from leaving a scene, officers must have reasonable suspicion that the individual is involved in criminal activity. And as the Royer case specifically noted, an individual's refusal to listen to an officer, answer their questions, or identify themselves during a consensual encounter does not, without more, furnish grounds for detention. Although reasonable suspicion is a less demanding standard than probable cause, inarticulate hunches and an officer's good faith beliefs are insufficient to justify a detention. And, contrary to Officer Di Natale's assertions that an officer can detain a citizen for refusing to identify themselves, an officer must be able to point to an objectively reasonable basis for suspecting criminal activity in order to detain a citizen. Finally, for an officer to have the legal authority to arrest an individual, they must have probable cause, which is a more demanding standard than reasonable suspicion.
I mean, they were like
that
chilling
requires
next
an
to that
officer to have
truck, right?
sufficient information
But I
for
guess
a
chilling
reasonable
next to
person
that
to
truck.
believe that the
The
individual-
cop asked him, "Did you come out of that truck?" And they're like, nah. And I think at that point the girl looked at him like, "You better fucking answer right, white boy." You know?
Committed a criminal act.
But yeah,
Based on the body camera footage, a court would likely conclude that Mr. Daniels' detention was unlawful, as it did not seem that the officers had reasonable suspicion that Mr. Daniel was committing a crime. And, contrary to Officer Di Natale's assertions, an individual's mere refusal to identify themselves during a consensual encounter does not give rise to the reasonable suspicion necessary for an investigative detention. Likewise,
Huber
a
Heights?
court would probably
Or Huber
determine that
Heights.
Mr.
Huber
Daniel's
Heights.
arrest was also unlawful because he did not have a legal duty to identify himself. And, as we discussed earlier in this episode, refusing to identify is not sufficient to support an obstruction charge.
You can detain for not identifying. Can we speak to a supervisor at the station?
You're going to.
I just want to
You're
clarify.
going to. You're literally going to see a supervisor.
Thank you.
All right?
Yes, thank you.
Close me up.
After
Done
their
talking
arrests,
with you
Mr.
motherfuckers.
Daniel and Ms. Myra were both charged with obstruction. In
I bet
his
that's Miss
video,
Myra's
Long
place right there.
Island
That's her
Audit
family's
reported
place.
that
That's
the
her family's
prosecutor
restaurant.
offered to drop the criminal charges in exchange for a civil fine, and Mr. Daniel and Ms. Myra refused the offer because they wanted to hold the officers responsible for their actions. He also stated that they are looking for an attorney to file a civil rights lawsuit, and that Mr. Daniel and Ms. Myra had another court date on January 17th, 2023. Long Island Audit stated that an update video would be posted, but an update has yet to be made as of the date of writing this episode. Overall, Officer Di Natale and Officer Yeldell get an F for failing to conduct a legitimate investigation before attempting to
Trying to just
identify
punk
anyone
motherfuckers.
on the scene, maintaining
Oh,
a
you're
rude and
detaining an
condescending
investigation?
attitude
What
throughout the encounter,
investigation?
and
And
for
what?
escalating a peaceful
What's your
interaction
fucking
into a
investigation?
physical
What
altercation
happened here?
And likely an illegal arrest. Rather than contacting the individual who made the 911 call to confirm the complaint, the officers turned their attention to Mr. Daniel and Ms. Myra for refusing
Maybe
to
that's not
answer
Miss
a
Myra's
consensual
restaurant.
question. At no point was the couple legally obligated to answer any of the questions asked of them by the officers, and their refusal should never have been perceived as grounds
heavy
for
duty,
intimidation.
but the water's right
Like
down the
many
heavy
other
duty.
members of law enforcement featured on this channel, the Trenton officers
Definitely
were
is
mistaken
Trenton.
about the scope and language of their state's obstruction statute and made an arrest based on this misinterpretation. This fact alone will likely afford Mr. Daniel and Ms. Myra an opportunity to contest the legality of their arrests and potentially file a legal claim for several different constitutional violations. This interaction highlights the importance of officers having a thorough understanding of the laws they are attempting to enforce, and the critical role that de-escalation plays in preventing unnecessary and potentially illegal arrests. Mr. Daniel and Ms. Myra get an A- for refusing to identify themselves when they were not legally obligated to do so, choosing to remain silent rather than potentially incriminating themselves, and for standing up to the officers despite their intimidating conduct and threats of arrest. When the Trenton officers arrived on the scene, Mr. Daniel and Ms. Myra were
They just
under
did it
no
a little
legal obligation
like
to remain on the sidewalk. And
on the
it may have been
complaining
their
side
best
of it,
interest to
not
leave
like
area
the
immediately
nah, dog, I'm
upon
cool. I'm
their
not gonna
arrival, rather than
take me to jail.
standing
Keep me in
around
the squad
and
car,
waiting
bro.
for
Like
engagement.
line me
It's
up.
also
This ain't
important to
shit.
note
I
that the
mean,
right to remain silent
I'll
must
see
be
you in
verbally
court,
invoked in order to
bruh.
trigger the protection
Don't
offered
shoot
by
me,
the Fifth
homie.
Amendment. Telling an officer that you,
We
quote,
could have
will
barbecue
not
later,
answer
bro,
any
but
questions
don't
is
shoot
not
me.
enough to render any statements inadmissible in
I like
court.
pig.
Even silence can be used in court as evidence against a citizen. As discussed in many previous episodes, in order to properly invoke the right to remain silent, citizens must verbally state that they are invoking their Fifth Amendment rights before choosing to remain silent. I commend Mr. Daniel and Ms. Myra for having the courage and conviction to stand up for their rights. Be sure to check out the Long Island Audit channel for future updates on this case. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out my second channel for...
I should be like, yo, the flood happened in Pajaro, and my uncle been living there in his house for the last 20 years, 2003. He's been paying $600 a month, bro. Oh my god, that's a crazy ass story. It's a crazy ass story. And now, like, the flood happened, and this person who didn't know they had that house. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Crazy.
more police interaction content.
Let's get on some DJ
If you've been
shit.
on our channel for a while, then you know that we've been covering this epic for like 3 years. It has gone on forever, and some people have forgotten how it started.
This
So we
is
thought it
good
would be fun
shit.
to put together years 1 through 5 of Injustice into a 2.5-hour video and allow you guys to indulge in a really long movie.
This guy should be the
Two
next
things you
Superman.
need to know as we go into this.
His
One,
face and
our
all that
editing
stuff
styles progressed
in the
as
comic
happened
books
over
from
2
Marvel.
years. So you're going to see how Dan was horrible in the beginning, and then he got really good towards the ending of the whole thing. And the second thing is, there's going to be a part where I say that Batman
He's got the whole
died when
structure,
the plane went
too.
down. That was wrong. We knew about it like the day I did it because you guys all
Yeah,
told
look,
me it was wrong.
look at this
But when I
motherfucker over
say it
here,
in the
and then look
video,
at this motherfucker over here.
because we don't even have that like equipment anymore. So when I say
Or
it,
maybe
it's
the
wrong.
dude
It's wrong now.
from
Okay.
Family, not Family
You guys
Guy,
on the other side of this 2.5-hour video.
the American Dad. Nah, this fucker's dope though. I'm a huge fan of this fool. He helps me consume comic books, bro. And then there's Comic
Before we begin,
Explain or
this
whatever.
is Injustice, a separate universe from the
That's
main
on some
timeline.
super
And
nerd
while it is
shit,
still
bro,
happening
but it's
right now
like,
in your local comic book shop, it does not affect the main timeline. Also, warning, this is a long series. Why do you guys make me suffer with these? Our story begins on a rooftop, no different than any other. But on this rooftop, Batman and Superman, two of the greatest friends in superhero history, are sitting. Superman looks at Batman and tells him, "We want you to be the Godfather." Bruce looks surprised, and Clark smiles. Hey look, the world's greatest detective is surprised. And Bruce smiles. You see, in this universe, Superman is married to Lois Lane. Gotham is relatively calm, and the superheroes are revered among the people. They are the heroes of this world, and no one questions that. This is a perfect world that the Joker is about to ruin as he shoots and kills Jimmy Olsen.
But the Joker is
kidnaps
the
Lois Lane.
Joker, baby.
Things ramp up quickly because Superman can't find her, and panicked, he grabs Batman by the shoulders. "Please, help me find her." So Batman calls up the entire Justice League. This is an all-points bulletin. We need everyone to look for Lois Lane. The Flash arrives instantly in Metropolis, and Batman has him run throughout the entire city looking. While he doesn't find Lois, he finds something that Batman needs to see. He carries Batman to Star Labs, where they find the Scarecrow dead from Joker's toxin. Wonder Woman then calls up Batman to let him know that they got a lead. The Joker is apparently in a submarine beneath Metropolis, and that's why no one can find him. So Superman
does the
flies over the
Scarecrow
bay
do?
and he finds the submarine, and he tears it open with his bare hands. Inside, he finds Lois being operated on by the Joker and Harley
Oof.
Quinn. But before Superman can stop them, the Joker hits him with fear toxin. And when he looks up, he sees Doomsday. He has no idea what's going on, but he doesn't have any time to fight with Doomsday, so he grabs him and he rockets top speed straight up into the atmosphere. While the Joker is watching, both the Joker and Harley Quinn jump out of the...
Like, how did Doomsday get there if they know who Doomsday is, right? Like, damn.
the submarine and they begin to leave, with Harley saying goodbye.
Probably like off the
to the
bed,
submarine
it just
that she's
got
ever
tossed
known
off like,
and
you know,
named.
springs.
Goodbye, Gunter. Gunter is a
Oof.
terrible name for a submarine, Hal tells them as he arrives. What did you do, Joker? Batman demands to know. Simple. I put a warhead in Metropolis, and I wired the detonator to Miss Lane's heartbeat. Once it stops, the bomb will go boom! Why would her heart stop? Batman then thinks about it, and he puts it together. The fear toxin was mixed in with kryptonite so that it could get into Superman's bloodstream. Superman, stop what you're doing! Whatever you are seeing is not real! Joker leans in. Did you know that she was pregnant, Bats? It's Lois, Superman! The gas finally begins to wear off, and Superman realizes exactly what he's done, and he looks in horror, with tears welling up in his eyes, at Lois drifting off into space. But with her death also comes the detonation of a nuclear warhead in Metropolis. The Justice League goes into crisis mode, saving as many people as they can from the fallout, while Batman brings the Joker to the police station. Superman is locked in
Wild.
grief, though, as he holds Lois. He
Wow.
can't believe what he's been forced to do. He hands the body of Lois to Wonder Woman. Can you hold them for me? Keep them safe. I'll be back. He then takes
them.
off at top speed, with Wonder Woman questioning, where's
Fuck,
he going?
bro.
In flight, the Green Lantern...
Right, like Like if you Superman and this happened to you, right? And your whole life you grew up human, not fucking Kryptonian, right? You're human. You fucking seen an old country boy going crazy right now. You know what I'm saying? Like he's driving that Ranger right down to that. He's finding Joker's house.
Batman took him to Gotham Prison. The Superman continues on. At Gotham Prison, Batman is trying to interrogate the Joker when suddenly the wall is torn out and Superman walks in, throwing the table to the side, and then he puts his hand through Joker's chest. Superman
iconic scene.
Solitude following the events. Walks in, throwing the table to the side, and then he puts his.
That's what you deserve. Laugh this off, fucker.
Hand through Joker's chest. Superman retreated to the Fortress of Solitude following the events where he tried to grieve to the best of his ability. But he can't do it. All around him the news is telling him about the disasters happening in the world. No more, he says to himself, and he takes off. There's a war happening in the Middle East that he doesn't think needs to happen any longer. And after getting in the way of the incoming rockets, he tells the people he's gonna stop this. He walks right into the presidential palace and he grabs the president by his shirt. And then he carries him down to the people that he has been killing and he strips him down to his underwear. Wonder Woman lands and sees what he's doing. There are cameras here, Superman. I know, and I have something to say.
Oh, cleaned up, fucker. Here,
looking like this, she tells him, implying his tired and rough look. Let me call a press conference for you. And it happens at the United Nations.
Bro, all they have to do is shave, bro. For real? For real? I look sad and depressed? No way. No way I look sad and depressed. No way. I shaved this off, right? I'm married and whatnot. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna see if she likes it. And I took the shit off. And she said no.
With Wonder Woman behind him, Superman tells
him, man.
My name is Clark Kent, and I was a reporter for the Daily Planet. And I am tired of all of these hostilities and all of this fighting. I don't care about your land or your beliefs, and I don't care if you're a madman or a terrorist, a king or a president. You have no right to take innocent lives. I am calling a worldwide ceasefire, and if you don't, I will stop you. It's over. Things ramp up quickly once again with people challenging Superman and him blowing up their missiles and preventing anything. So the US government decides to make its largest mistake that they have ever made, and they kidnap Clark Kent's parents, and they have Mirror Master throw them into the mirror world. Superman arrives to a burning house that was once his childhood home, and he gets a warning from Mirror Master. Stop what you're doing, or we will kill your parents. I have them in a place that not even you can get to. Now go back to fighting giant space robots or something. Most of the Justice League goes to the Watchtower to discuss these events, and Wonder Woman tells them.
So the government has mutants or whatever the fuck, what are they called? Metas in their control, right? Of course the government would, right? You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah. That's...
We've all been affected by last week's tragedy, but Superman is trying to make the entire world a better place. But someone in this world is trying to tell us what our place is.
Is these motherfuckers the X-Men? Is that what it is now? Oh my god, I'm a fucking idiot, bro.
By kidnapping Superman's parents. I am Princess Diana, and I know my place. Will you stand with us? The Justice League thinks about it, and Cyborg steps forward. Superman has saved this world 10 times over. I'll stand with you. So they all move fast, teleporting around the Earth, searching.
Yeah, I'd be on the super. If I was a superhero, I'd be on Superman's side. It's like we're idiots. I remember when I was a human.
Superman, Batman figures out who is behind this entire plot, and he breaks into.
Hey, yo, motherfuckers from England, motherfucker, I've heard it and shit when the Queen died. Motherfuckers was like, yeah, they're special, they're different, they're royals. We will never know what it's like. It's like, well, maybe not because like we're not in those families, but. There's nothing special between them. It's just motherfuckers. Their parents gamed them the fuck up for generations. You know what I mean? It's like our parents don't do that. Our generations get our families fight, families divorce. You know what I mean? Like there's only a few rituals or not rituals, cultures that like to some certain extent, like it sounds dick even in America, but fucking those arranged marriages really help, you know. Make sure your family's intact, your family got your back, you know. And yeah, dude, like certain cultures like Catholicism or whatever, Catholicism, there you go, doesn't fucking really promote those kind of things, right? It's all, it throws you out to the wilderness. And I'm not saying like, oh yeah, no, I'm trying to get like arranged marriage. No, 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 that's not it. It's just like certain cultures, a lot of families aren't gamed up, and a lot of and the real fucking cheat code is like to a parent, right? Is like you go to school, get an education, you know what I mean? But for what? Medical school, law school, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, well, you're competing with all these other fucking future doctors and lawyers. And not just that, your money, my parents' money or whatever, your parents' money, isn't going to take me to Harvard. Isn't going to take me to Yale. Isn't going to take me to Stanford. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's just tough, you know? It's it's like Eminem rapping, you know what I mean? Just like me, don't give a fuck like me, you know what I mean? But just like me, the next big thing. But I'm Slim Shady, yes, I'm the real Shady. All these other motherfuckers is the real motherfucking students, you know? Like, it's just, yeah, it's crazy.
Your plan failed, Mr. President, and it failed in a way that will strengthen them. It will unite them all behind him. And the president looks at Batman. You said them, not us. Things once again ramp up as the Justice
Batman's a
League travels around the
motherfucking
world.
gangster.
Batman figures out who is behind this entire earth, searching for Superman's parents, and it doesn't take long to find Mirror Master himself and get him to talk. While they're all assisting Superman, Batman figures out who is behind this entire plot, and he breaks into the White House to have a chat with the president. Your plan failed, Mr. President, and it failed in a way that will strengthen them. It will unite them all behind him. And the president looks at Batman. You said them, not us. Things once again ramp up as the Justice League travels around the world trying to stop all war, everywhere that they can. And eventually, Superman realizes that Batman isn't helping him, so he decides to pay a visit to the Batcave. Once he arrives, Damian takes time to thank Superman for getting rid of the Joker, and Nightwing asks if he's okay. But Superman smiles, and he walks to the Batcomputer. My parents were taken, Bruce. Where were you? I was doing what needed to be done. My parents, you of all people! You have to stop what you're doing. I have to stop? Stop saving lives? Stop bringing dictators to justice? You're scaring them. And Superman rips Batman's mask off of his face. Ooh. Good! They should be scared. Too scared to press the button. Too scared to pull the trigger. You taught me that. You would do the exact same thing if you were me. You killed a man, Clark. Every time that you let that madman live, how many more people did you condemn? Did you even feel guilty? Every time. But we don't get to choose who dies. One death to save millions. Meanwhile, the Justice League is getting started in a war against...
Yeah, like, Batman's, like, trying to be, he's trying to be fucking... How can you say, like, an overgrown bat in a jungle, right? And when a lion fucking eats a gazelle, he's trying to take that lion away from all the other gazelles, right? But he's already done eating the gazelle. It's dead. You know what I mean? So, like, he's not even done eating the gazelle. He takes the lion, like, quarters from eating the gazelle, right? Like there's 3/4 left of that motherfucker or more, bro, you know? And I'm starving, you know? Like, so it's just making this fucking lion hungrier, you know? And he's just keeping him away, or he throws him in the water and the motherfucker gotta get out. Oh, fuck. Start swimming, get out back to shore, and then he goes, kills even more people because he's fucking hungry. Like, that's Batman's reasoning, and I feel like that's what Superman's saying. Like, I'm done with this. I'm done with this lunacy, bro. I'll kill all these motherfucking lions, and all these gazelles can then fuck up vegetation. You know? It's the circle of life, baby.
Atlantis. It started as a disagreement between Wonder Woman and Aquaman, but it doesn't matter now as people are fighting. Back in the Batcave, though, their argument is heating up. Why did you let him do this to me, Bruce? You can't possibly understand what he took.
Oh, he blames it on Batman because Batman had so many opportunities to stop this guy. This was your fucking guy, right? Joker's your fucking brother, bro. Like, without him, you can't circle jerk without each other, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah. Like Lexus is his, Joker's is his, bro. And that's funny. Batman could handle Lex Luthor no problem. Right? and Superman could handle Joker. No problem. Handle him to a T. Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
The life that Lois and I would have had together. I would have loved that child more than anything. I already did. And look at you, sitting in the dark ignoring Damian and Dick. How many friends did they have in Metropolis? Have you even consoled them? Held them? What's your excuse for not being a father? But Batman has had enough, and he throws a punch at Superman, completely unfazing him. At that moment, the alarms in the Batcave begin to go off as the battle with Atlantis starts raging on, and Superman turns to Batman. Bruce, come with me. And they look at each other, and Bruce lowers his head. I can't, Clark. I'm sorry. Meanwhile, off in the middle of the ocean, Aquaman has called upon his ultimate weapon, the Kraken, to battle against the Justice League. But Superman arrives, injuring the Kraken and grabbing Aquaman by the throat. Stop this now. I called for a ceasefire. Even your voice doesn't reach down into the deep, Superman. The sea is mine alone to command. Around the world, the Atlanteans begin to rise from the oceans to invade various parts of it. Consider this a show of strength, Superman. Now get the hell out of my ocean. But Superman isn't listening to this ultimatum. And he takes all of the strongest in the Justice League, and they fly underneath Atlantis so that they can tear it out of the ground. They lift the entire city out of the ocean
Green
and
Lantern.
they carry it to the Sahara Desert.
So the Green Lantern Corp is a military group, right? They'll do martial law if it'll preserve humanity, right? They'll keep them in a bubble like that, right? Like how they just did to Atlantis with the whole green bubble around it. That's just crazy to think, dude. That's crazy, bro. They're the foe. The Green Lantern Corp is the foe.
And as he retreats back into the ocean,
This should be the Blue Lanterns.
Through Wonder Woman. I've ruled peacefully for years. When Superman is ready for my advice, tell him I am here for him. And Diana, I'm sorry about Lois. But Wonder Woman doesn't relay that message. Superman's reign continues to grow, and after putting down a superpowered individual that thought he could stand up to Superman,
Amazonians, bro, they're not your friends, guys. All right.
Flash rethink this entire course of actions, and then preventing Two-Face from killing a news reporter.
Wait, who did they kill?
Powered individual that thought he could stand up to Superman, upsetting the Flash and making the Flash rethink this entire course of actions, and then preventing Two-Face from killing a news reporter. Superman has made his next decision. Live on the air,
He was a meta that stood up against even though he was a villain, maybe, right?
Nothing. The people of Gotham deserve to know that those deranged individuals can never threaten them again.
Tough.
My God, they're gonna go after Arkham, Nightwing exclaims
Superman's
as he
evil
runs
as
to the
fuck.
Batmobile with Batman. But Damian stands there. So what? Have you even considered for a
Damian's
second that
evil
maybe
as
you
fuck.
are wrong? And on that note, Nightwing and Batman leave Damian there because there isn't any time to waste. As Superman and the Justice League arrive at Arkham, there stands Batman and Nightwing ready to stop them. But the shocker is that Damian is now standing with Superman in his side. What are you doing, Robin? Nightwing asks him. What am I doing? I'm bringing criminals to justice. I'm standing with Superman and Cyborg and Wonder Woman, and you're standing with Killer Croc. The Justice League begins to open the doors to the cells, and the Flash shows up, picking up the criminals and carrying them away instantly. So Batman activates a virus in Cyborg, forcing him to the ground in pain. The Justice League looks at Batman. What did you do? What the hell is wrong with you? Okay, that's enough, Nightwing says as he turns off Batman's gadget. Everyone just calm down. We don't want to look bad in front of the psychopaths. But that's when things get worse, because right at that moment, Green Arrow was dropping off Harley Quinn, and then he left her with one of the random guards there. Well, that didn't go well, as she's now opening up every cell door. All hell begins to break loose as villains go free, and Grundy breaks up from the floor below, grabbing Robin by the head and then carrying him off into the basement. Superman dives into the basement and begins to dismantle the undead monster that is Grundy, while Nightwing works his hardest to get Robin out of the monster's grip. Batman then leaps down with them and onto Grundy, at that point blowing up Grundy's head. Superman looks at Batman. Good job. They all get back up to the top floor in the main fight, and Robin loses control. I'm sick of all of you! Why do you think you deserve help after all you've done, he yells, as he clubs Riddler across the jaw. Robin, that's enough, Nightwing yells. Stop telling me what to do, Damian says as he throws his baton at Nightwing. It was just a child's rage and nothing more. He's done it so many times to Nightwing before and he's caught it. But this one time, Nightwing wasn't ready for it and it hit him in the head, throwing him off his balance. Nightwing fell over and he landed on a rock, cracking his neck. Just like that, it was over. Damian looked at the man that he treated as his brother, and he realized what had happened.
Fucking killed him.
Batman came out of the hole in the ground and he was with Superman. And he looks over to see Nightwing on the ground. I'm sorry, Damian tries to say through tears, but Bruce couldn't hear it. What did you do? He screams as he puts his hands on his head in shock.
Where's my beer's at? I'll be right back.
I didn't mean to.
This is fucking.
Damian tried to say, but Bruce
I've seen it like 3 times already.
Get off of him! Everyone in Arkham stopped the fighting and Bruce picked up Nightwing. They carried him out of the building. This is only the beginning, though, because so many more heroes and villains will perish in this conflict. Batman grieved, and then he enacted his own plan to build a group of superheroes that are willing to stand against Superman. He would build his own fighting force, his own team, to stop his former friend. This story takes place during the events of issue 1, year 1. Superboy was flying through Metropolis with Gar, Beast Boy, in his arms, as they were off to get the Titans some meatball subs from the best place ever. Kid Flash is running ahead of them, trying to beat them to the spot, but both Superboy and Gar decided that they would beat him. Superboy drops Gar, and Gar changes into a bird while Superboy hits top speed. But that's when they see it, the nuclear explosion set off by the Joker. Kid Flash is running so fast that he was taken out right away without even any time to react. And seeing Superboy tried to grab Gar. He tried to save his friend. He really did. He tried to shield him from the blast. But in the aftermath, we saw Superboy holding Gar in his arms. The rest of the Titans saw the news, and Starfire crashed through the windows, getting to Metropolis at top speed, where she and the rest of the Titans saw the aftermath. Superboy holding their dear friend. And he explained that Bart was taken by the blast. They all went back to the Titans Tower, where they sat around listening to the news until Dick Grayson returned. He had recently left the Titans, and he left Red Robin in charge.
Before he died, right?
To tell his old friends what had happened. He explained that the Joker set off the bomb, and then Superman killed the Joker. This news sent tears down Superboy's face, as the hero that he was aspiring to be had just crossed the line. Superboy left.
Superboy looks a little sus right there.
Dick Grayson to return as the leader.
He look like he hasn't been working out. He looks a little chubby, bro. That's how I would look, bro, flying away like all stretched out.
Superboy went to the Fortress of Solitude,
but then not like that.
Asked him why he did it. He understands grief. He lost his own family in Bart and Gar. But
why look at that hand.
Kill over it. He asks, how could he wear the S on his chest if Superman was willing to kill, and he leaves Superman there? Then at the funeral, Superman announced that there would be a worldwide ceasefire, and things started down the path that would show up for the rest of the Injustice series while Superboy watched on. Then at dinner that night, Superman announced that there would be a worldwide ceasefire, and things started down the path that would show up for the rest of the Injustice series while Superboy watched on. Then at dinner that night, Pa Kent told Superboy that he would need to learn how to forgive Clark. Clark isn't perfect, and Superboy told them that he couldn't as he flew off into the night. The Titans saw his grief, and they knew that he would do something that he would regret, so they sent Wonder Girl after him. She found him in the Fortress of Solitude, digging around Superman's things, and even though she told them that they should go, it was too late. Superman had arrived. Superman returned holding the Phantom Zone projector, which makes a portal to the Phantom
get trapped,
Zone.
boy.
Superboy,
the only competition that he didn't want to have, right? Wouldn't even be competition. He would have to kill him. So he's literally saving his life.
Shoving Superman into a wall as he tried to wind up to punch him, but Superman easily slapped him away. Then with a single breath, he threw Wonder Girl aside, only to have Starfire burn him on his back. Everyone jumped into battle against the Man of Steel, but regardless of
why wouldn't Billy go get the fucking thing too and trap him in there, or he doesn't know what it is?
Phantom Zone portal generator, but once he realized that he couldn't move it, Superman asked him, "What's the plan here?" Batman always has a plan. But while he was talking to Tim, Superboy jumped up from behind. So Superman turned around, cracking Superboy's sternum. Superboy hit the ground, spitting up blood, and Superman informed the Titans that Superboy was going to die. His sternum was cracked, and a rib had punctured his heart. The only way that they could save him was if they brought him to the Phantom Zone, because if he went there, he would no longer be tied to his physical body. But Superman would only allow them to do that if all of the Titans went. He didn't want to hurt them, and he didn't want them messing up his plans. Once he's done with everything, he'll free them. Without any other option in front of them, the Titans had to take the offer, and they entered the Phantom Zone, where they were locked away until Superman wins.
Ooh, Superman's a beast.
I'm alive. Those 2 words came across the radio, heard by the world. The Justice League got the message, and they take off to the remnants of Metropolis, destroyed by a twisted and deranged madman. After digging around the rubble, Superman and the Justice League find a hidden...
I think Superman right there discovered, like, if I just sit down and think about it, my Kryptonian brain that's been soaking all these Earth rays with no kryptonite around me in the last couple months, right? I don't know how the book's been written. Like, I'm smarter than fucking Batman, you know what I mean? Smarter than Lex Luthor, but he's just been an old country boy, right? His whole fucking life, right? It's not where you from, it's where you at. 100% right there.
In which Lex Luthor has survived the blast. One of Superman's friends in this world. They take off for the Watchtower and they explain
they're
to Lex
homies.
what has happened and why he needed to hide in that bunker. The Joker has set off a nuclear weapon in Metropolis and murdered Lois Lane, Superman's only connection to his humanity. He has gone on a rampage with the Justice League since then, wanting to ensure that no one would ever be harmed in the world again. But has he gone too far?
Poor
Batman
Shazam.
thinks so, as he is now
Poor
taking a stand
everyone in
against
that
Superman
fucking
following
scene
the
right
death
there.
of
Fucking
Nightwing
A.
at the hands of Damian Wayne and a mistake.
Injustice is ridiculous.
Superman's mission presses forward with battles all over, but certain ones cause the Justice League members to question if what they are doing is the right thing. Like when Black Adam was just defending his country. Superman, Wonder Woman, and Shazam subdued him and forced him to say the magical words granting him his powers. This forced him to turn back into a mortal man, something that he hasn't been in centuries, and he ages rapidly. And the change had a chance to kill him. So Shazam didn't think that it would be best for them to do it for fear that the rapid aging would kill the elderly man. Superman and Wonder Woman didn't care, and they forced him to change back and age. They then kept him from saying the magical words of power once again. He didn't die, but Shazam does wonder, is it right to possibly kill someone for your goal? But Shazam's just a child, isn't he? What does he know about what's right? Another time, Wonder Woman takes to a war-torn country where the women are tortured by an evil ruler. She arrives, lassos up the ruler, and kills him right there in front of everyone. She then turns to the soldiers and takes their rifles and hands them to the women to protect themselves. But is it right to put the rifles in the hands of those that were tortured for so long? Wonder Woman thinks she knows the answer. Batman comes up with a plan to check on Superman's actions, and he has his team kidnap Hawkgirl.
That reminds me of a time when the Mexicans in Mexico, the Mexicans was people were getting up in arms against the cartel, right? And they would actually like start raiding their houses and pulling them out of their houses, guns drawn. Fuck you, motherfucker! You know, all but in Spanish, right? And yeah, dude, like it was just like all these. They wanted to kill these people. You could see like fingers on the trigger, dude. And they were arguing with themselves, like, "Hey, no, you can't fucking do that," you know. So yeah, Wonder Woman seems to know better.
A sleeper agent. The situation is about to get much worse, though, as across the galaxy, other individuals can see the changing of the tides with Superman and the Justice League. Calabec, one of Darkseid's followers, reports that Superman appears to have gone soft because he's calling an end to all of the fighting. So Darkseid sends his troops with Calabec at the helm.
Ooh.
If the Kryptonian has softened, then that is his mistake. Superman decides to hold a press conference based
Wait, hold on. He softened because he stopped all the fighting. He's like the one stopping all the fighting. I would have been like he's toughened up on the fighting. Oh, really? Let's see how tough he really is. That should have been the thing, right? You know what I mean? But I guess it's like, no, Darkseid wouldn't do that, though. Darkseid doesn't look for a challenge. He always try to.
Is telling him.
But then that's probably what the other guy did, so Darkseid can go do it, right? You know what I'm saying? So, maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Because they only see Superman flying in and stopping warlords and thugs, and they are afraid. They don't know what his plans are. So Superman puts on a suit, and he stands in front of the world to let them know. He just wants the world to be safe.
I'm one of you guys.
Suddenly, boom! A boom tube opens up onto the world, and out steps Calabec and his army, the Parademons. They blast Superman, and he lands right in front of Calabec. What's wrong, Superman? Defeated so easily? Calabec chuckles to himself, and then he realizes his mistake as Superman gets up. His eyes say it all. There is no truth. There is no justice. There is no mercy. And he hits Calabec so hard that he launches him into the atmosphere. The Justice League begins to get reports from all over the planet as the parademons are boon-tombing into the heavily populated cities of the world, and they move quickly to try and save as many as they can. Even Batman and his people come together to battle against the demons assaulting Gotham. Their little battle against each other needs to be placed on hold for the sake of the world. Calabec gets picked up by Superman and thrown into the ground, where he lands on him, and he threatens for him to call off the attack. But Calabec sees his chance. You really haven't changed, have you, Superman? And he calls in more parademons. Superman finds himself being buried underneath the weight of the parademons, and he pushes out everything that he has to roast them all with his heat vision. He then walks towards Calabec. Stand up and face me. Calabec sees the hate in Superman's eyes, and he tells him, I yield, you win, Kryptonian. But Superman won't have that, and he shouts, you don't get to yield. Fight me! As he slams Calabec into the ground. Daddy isn't going to save you this time, Calabec, Superman tells him as he cracks him across the face again, and then he buries him head first into the ground. Elsewhere, the Flash is running as fast as he can to save as many people, but Superman arrives in front of him at light speed. I need to ask you something, Barry. Can't this wait, Superman? I'm trying to save everyone I can. No, this can't wait, Flash. You're the only one that I can talk to about this fast enough for it to matter. Do you see any other way for me to save as many lives as I can without killing all of the parademons in the sky? If you're asking for my permission to kill, I won't give it to you. But do you see any other way to save everyone? No. So Superman takes to space, and he realizes that what he's about to do, the line that he's about to cross, it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter that these are parademons. He's about to take thousands of lives. And with that, he goes back to Earth at rocketing speeds and kills every parademon in the sky. As he lands on the stage where he planned to give his speech, with particles of destroyed beings in the sky, the world cheers for their savior, Superman. And Batman realizes that what Superman had to do, he realizes that there is
he's an alien, right?
From this. Superman has Lex Luthor begin development of a pill that will grant all of his allies his strength, while Batman tries to get his allies to agree with him and be on his side by revealing his identity after Huntress reveals it by mistake. Both sides meet on the battlefield, yet neither wants to fight because they were friends. They both want the same thing, don't they? Superman calls on Flash to have a friendly game of chess with him while he asks him a few questions. He needs his opinions, and the Flash can think very fast. So Superman begins to play the game, and he starts with his opening statement. I want to get rid of all of the guns.
And Barry's a genius.
Checkmate. If you start with guns, smoking, outlaw cigarettes, they kill far more than guns do, Superman. Checkmate. Then we can imprison everyone who speeds in a car.
Got a checkmate.
Checkmate. Then we can lock up everyone who leaves a dangerous dog unchained. Checkmate. Then we can kill everyone who doesn't recycle. Checkmate. But while Superman is thinking of the things that the Flash is saying, Ma and Pa Kent are currently being housed in the Fortress of Solitude after they were kidnapped a little while ago. And there with them is Lex Luthor trying to make the special pill. So they ask him to help their son, because Superman is as fallible as everyone else. Later that night, Damian decides to activate the Watchtower's teleportation system to bring himself back to the Batcave, where Alfred finds him. He hasn't returned ever since he accidentally killed Nightwing, and he doesn't know what to do. Batman pulls into the cave and he simply asks his son, "What are you doing here?" Damian takes the hint and he begins to head for the exit, but Alfred turns to Batman. "Your guilt-ridden son has just walked into your home seeking redemption and forgiveness. Please, don't be you, sir." So Batman stops him. "Wait, I want to talk." But Damian snaps at him. "You left me in Arkham! You are wrong and Superman is right. You're just too full of yourself to see it. This isn't about me." "Of course it's about you! It's always about you! Your crusade, your pain, your parents who died, your way, your rules, your legacy, your impossible standards." And Alfred places a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Please, let your father talk." But Damian has taken one of the strength-renting pills, and he throws Alfred into the nearby Batcomputer by mistake. "No!" Damian says, shocked at what he's done. And Batman sees his oldest friend injured, and he shouts at Damian, "You!" But Damian has had enough, and he throws Batman into the trophy coin into the cave, causing it to begin to fall. and it would have landed on Alfred, but Hawkgirl arrives suddenly and catches it. Damian runs over to Alfred apologizing. He didn't know how strong he was. But Hawkgirl comes over and takes Damian, and the two of them begin to leave for the Watchtower until Batman tells them to stop. That's when Damian puts it together. Since when did Hawkgirl listen to Batman and know where the Batcave was, or is even that strong? So Damian lights an incendiary grenade, forcing Martian Manhunter to turn back to normal. He was the sleeper agent that Batman planted, and then Damian runs through the portal leading back to the Watchtower. Damian informs Superman and the Justice League that Martian Manhunter has been disguised as Hawkgirl this whole time, and Batman still has the real Hawkgirl captive. So Superman has decided that Batman has gone too far this time, and he decides to take the one thing away from Batman that Batman still thinks he has: his secret identity. He takes to the airwaves to announce to the world that Batman has Hawkgirl captive, and he will take his anonymity. Batman's true name is, but Batman activates Protocol Icarus and shuts down the Watchtower. With life support off, everyone in the Watchtower begins to panic, and they decide that they need to get the Watchtower back to Earth. No, we need to figure out a way to get this message out, because we can't give Batman time to find another answer. So they use Cyborg's human computer to tap into social media, and they start #Batman is Bruce Wayne. The world is now aware of who Batman is, so the Justice League moves quickly to the site where Batman is. And as
Twitter's on fire right now.
But Batman tells them that he
they're like Elon Musk.
After Lex
Elon Musk is Jesus Christ, right? Like
Wonder Woman then warns Batman to stop this, or they will respond in force. So Batman flies away. Well, that was unexpected, Flash says in shock. It's Martian Manhunter, Green Lantern yells, and the Flyers all begin to chase him. Martian Manhunter might be fast, but he can't outrun Superman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern, so he goes invisible, one of his many powers. But Green Lantern pauses and tells his ring to scan for Martian Manhunter, only to be sucker punched by him. He then stands before Superman. Why are you working against me, John? Because of what you've become. I've watched my planet become overrun by a tyrant, and you are doing the same thing. But Wonder Woman has had enough of everyone talking to Superman about this, and she grabs Martian Manhunter.
she wants that motherfucker to do it.
Form,
That's crazy, homie. That like reminds me of a bunch of bitches from the hood. My boy's gonna be the guy. My guy is gonna be the guy.
Around her, and he goes inside of her body. He then begins to cut off the oxygen to her brain, slowly killing her. There's only one way, Clark, she says to him, and he knows it to be true.
Kill
so
her.
He blasts Wonder Woman with his heat vision at full power. Martian Manhunter might be as powerful as Superman, but his one weakness is fire, and he burns alive, instantly dying. A few other incidents happen involving Lobo, Green Arrow, Harley Quinn, and Canary, but eventually, Batman calls his team to inform them that Superman has finally gone too far. He killed Martian Manhunter, and they only have one chance to stand against being this powerful. They need the pill that Lex Luthor has made to make normal humans as strong as Superman. And to get that, they're going to need to break into the Fortress of Solitude.
Watermelon
so while his
lemonade,
team argues how far
way better
is
than
too
the
far,
Wildberry.
they do join him. And
It
Batman,
depends. If you
Catwoman,
want more
Captain
flavor,
Atom,
then
Green
definitely
Arrow,
the
and Canary all
lemonade.
go into the teleporter and
But if you
arrive
want
in
like
front
more of the
the Solitude.
fizz, more
But Batman also has the
of a
president
not
of
so
the United
sweet,
States
the
launch an
Wildberry
attack
is
on
the one.
Korea to distract Superman. And that's when they make their move. While Catwoman breaks through the locks, Superman lands with a thud in front of the White House. Why would you do this, Mr. President? You know I would just stop you. Unless you're distracting me. And as Batman enters the Fortress of Solitude, he realizes his mistake. Clark was keeping his parents in the fortress. No, if he thinks even for a second that we came for his parents, I don't even want to know what he'll do. And Batman turns around to see Superman with his hand on Captain Atom's neck, holding him to the ground, and his eyes burning red. He's furious, and he isn't thinking straight. Even his parents ask him to let Atom go and end this. But Atom isn't concerned. He isn't a pushover. He has literally 10 nuclear explosions contained in a containment suit, and he punches Superman off of him. The damage to the fortress as Superman went flying through it is massive, and everyone runs to get out of it as the entrance seals itself. But Green Arrow finds himself stuck inside with Superman's parents. While Batman and his group figure out a way that they can get Arrow
Who the
out
fuck
of the
is this
base,
guy right here?
Captain Atom is
You saw that guy right
burying
here?
Superman into the ground. Every punch from him is like a mini nuclear explosion, and Superman can't take it. But Wonder Woman takes a swing with her sword at Adam's neck, breaking the containment field in one swing. Adam pauses. Oh, you stupid! I can't hold it any longer. But I guess this is my opportunity. I have my orders, and I'm already dead. So I'm taking you with me. And he grabs Superman and takes off for space, with Wonder Woman following behind yelling out. As the explosion builds in power and energy pours out of Captain Atom, he allows himself to explode with the power of 10 nuclear blasts in space. The explosion is so great that it throws Wonder Woman back to the Earth and destroys every satellite around them. But he failed. Superman survived, and now he's pissed. They tried to kill him. He comes back to the planet to find where Wonder Woman landed, only to find her in a coma.
And like he only puts him closer to like his source of power, right? The sun is his source of power.
So he can get inside. Green Arrow sees what's about to happen to him as he's the only member of Batman's group in the fortress of Superman's parents. He knows what he has to do, and he glances at the super pills. Superman burns the stand that the pills are on and tells Green Arrow not to touch them. So he fires an arrow at Superman. That won't help you, but it'll make me feel better. The arrow bounces off of Superman and ricochets into Pa Kent's shoulder. Superman backhands Arrow, and he throws him through the wall because he hits him so hard. Scrambling on the floor, he tries to remember the longest distance an arrow has ever been fired.
That's why Batman doesn't have a
fires
thing on
one
how to
last
kill
one
him.
at Superman, over his shoulder
Arrow's a
and
true
out the hole
blue
in the ceiling.
human.
Superman then pummels Arrow over and over, blood flying into the air as his parents look in horror at what their son has become, begging him to stop, please. Arrow just closes his eyes, apologizing to the pretty bird, Dinah the black canary.
Fuck.
Prettiest girl in the whole damn world. He then closes his eyes.
Fuck, it's choking me up.
As Batman, Catwoman, and Canary all make it to the site of Arrow's last shot arrow, Canary sees his tracker on it, and she walks away slowly. Ollie's not coming back.
Sucker for this shit.
But on that arrow, he managed to attach one of the super pills. Batman takes the arrow, and he goes to the Batcave to start analyzing the super pill by himself. He only has minutes before Superman will get there, and the only thing distracting Superman right now are both of his parents telling him how far he's gone, and the hologram of Jor-El telling him that he will receive no more help from the fortress, as he is killed. As Superman takes off for the Batcave, Jor-El turns to Superman's human parents. I'm sorry, I unleashed this on your world. Superman comes crashing through the Batcave. As Superman right now are both of his parents telling him how far he's gone, and the hologram of Jor-El telling him that he will receive no more help from the fortress, as he is killed. As Superman takes off for the Batcave, Jor-El turns to Superman's human parents. I'm sorry, I unleashed this on your world. Superman comes crashing through the Batcave ceiling.
Fuck right
I
there.
removed all of the crazies from Gotham. But
Dude, if I can, I will put my fucking brain up there, dude. Like, just like, not like, just so I can be an annoying parent. I want to be Gazzo. You know what I mean? Fucking a lad. I want to be that guy, you know? I'm down. I'm down. You know? Love me, bro. Fuck.
He grabs Batman with anger burning in his eyes. Behind them, the Bat computer is trying to decipher what the super pill is. Is that Ollie's blood that you're covered in? He was the most ethical and compassionate friend that we had. Superman pauses, and he turns. Go on, justify his death. I'll call Black Canary and tell her you did it for the greater good. So Superman throws Batman across the cave. Stop talking! Batman runs to a computer and he presses a button that displays pictures of Clark's wedding to Lois Lane. You swore to honor and protect her, Clark, but you failed to protect her. And honor her? How is this honoring her? I'm doing this for her, Superman shouts. You stopped doing this for her the moment that she died, when you lost your humanity. Batman then drops a sonic device to stun Superman, and he runs to the super pill with the computer at 96%. But Superman grabs him by the arm. No. He picks up Batman and he holds him over his head. Batman screams, Clark, don't! But it falls on deaf ears as Superman slams Batman's back over his knee, breaking it. As Bruce lays there in agony, Superman begins to walk away. I will not kill you, Bruce, but I can't have you in the way. And Bruce turns to him. Wasn't trying to fight you. Was trying to distract you. Superman turns to the computer and he realizes that it has finished, and it uploaded the specs of the super pill somewhere else. What did you do, Bruce? Gave us a fighting chance, Bruce says with a smile.
Damn.
Someone then places their hand on Superman's shoulder. Clark Kent, And there stands Alfred. Superman looks in shock as Alfred headbutts him so hard that he forces Superman to bleed.
Ooh, I forgot about this part.
Disappointed in you.
Ooh!
No more hurting my. And Alfred pummels Superman over and over. He then walks over, picks up Batman, and he
He's the Marine or Green Beret, right?
Aftermath, Superman calls
Not Green Beret. What's the
and he declared that Batman and his allies are
United
now
Kingdom
enemies
had.
of the Justice League. He intends to gather his
Or
forces
England.
and expose Batman and all of those that will aid him. Because the last thing Lois got to say to him was, save the world. And he intends to.
Did she say that?
Oliver, Hal, and Dinah all walked down a street after the blackest
Pretty sure
night.
she was all like, don't
Hal just
fucking
saved the
do
world
it.
from hordes
No.
of Black Lantern
Wake
zombies,
up, fucker.
and they all felt
No,
they deserved a hero
stupid pendejo,
All three
no
walked into a
mames.
group of bikers tried to hit on Dinah.
And then all blood started
Ollie
rushing out her bed.
The
Head.
biker turned to Ollie. Did you say something behind that stupid little beard?
What's up, fool?
Ollie,
What you say,
continuing to
Holmes?
grin, says, nope, I didn't say anything. I just kind of snickered. But
Oh, yeah,
Dinah
when he met
decided
the
to step
canary.
in. You get one chance to let
piss
go
on
of
your
it
back.
and walk away.
Pop that
Oh,
fucking.
you
What
need
is
a
it?
girl to protect you? I don't need her to. And then
Crack
Dinah
seal.
grabbed the man by the shirt. But I really enjoy it when she does. And then Dinah threw him across the bar. She dropped two other thugs while Ollie looked down at the bar peanuts. And then he flicked one into the biker's eye. So she broke his nose. I had it, Ollie. It was just a peanut. I literally lifted one finger. Hal decided to chime in at this moment. I saved the whole world. And Holly turned to him. You did, and you deserve some acknowledgement. To Hal Jordan, savior of the world. Those were good times, weren't they? That was back when everyone was friends. Before Joker tricked Superman into killing Lois Lane, and then Superman put his fist through the Joker's chest. Before Batman built a rebellion against Superman's regime. Before Superman murdered Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow. Both sides of the war stand at opposite sides of Ollie's grave. A temporary truce has been called so that they can lay the man down to rest. After Hal tried to apologize and Dinah told him to go away if he still stood with Superman, Superman himself tried to come over.
Why is it always at funerals we always get together? Horrible.
But she Sonic screamed at him and saw the true anger and rage in his eyes. He turned to her initially ready to harm her, but he stopped when he realized that Dinah was pregnant. Batman has been moved to a place between time and space by Zatanna. He had his back broken in his last fight with Superman, and it's going to take him some time to recover. This was the only place that Zatanna could hide him away from Superman, away from everything. Off in deep space, Kyle Rayner is one of the best Green Lanterns around, and he's been off of Earth for quite some time.
So you don't
He
even
should be
know
coming
what's
home
going
to a
on.
world that he loves. But he's coming home to a different
And the
world.
Green Lanterns don't
But
tell
just as he
him
begins to get home,
because they want him
the only
to
girl that he
martial
knows
court that
his
shit.
ring goes off on an alert, and he finds himself tied up by Sinestro and his yellow lanterns. There is a war coming. I look to Earth and I see future allies. He creeps right up to Kyle, and he uses his yellow ring to sever Kyle's ring finger and remove his Green Lantern ring. Fear finally begins to cross Kyle's face as he loses his uniform and his shield for space travel. And then, he suffocates in deep space. Over at Oa, Ganthet has sensed that something is off. He hasn't heard from Kyle Rayner, and they're getting reports that Superman is apparently trying to rule the world. Guy Gardner, another one of the Earthling Green Lanterns, laughs at the idea that Superman will be trying to conquer Earth, so he asks the Guardians to loan him some of the lanterns, and he'll go talk to Hal. He'll know what's going on. Back with Superman, he's sitting in the Watchtower by Wonder Woman's bedside, wondering if she'll ever come out of her coma, when a report comes across. Sinestro is here. Superman launches out into space with Sinestro telling him to wait, but Superman doesn't give him time as he grabs Sinestro by the throat and he slams him into the moon. Sinestro still refuses to fight back as he tells Superman, I'm not here to fight, I'm here to warn you. They are coming. Meanwhile, on Earth, Green Lantern and the Flash walk out of Congress after forcing them to pass a bill, and they find Ganthet and Guy Gardner waiting for them. Take me to Superman, Hal Jordan, Ganthet demands. Ganthet advises Superman to stop this, stop trying to control the people of Earth, but Superman informs them that he's protecting the people of Earth. I have watched civilizations rise and fall. We Guardians have been gifted with enormous power, and sometimes not using that power.
One of those Green Lantern fucking blue head fuckers is a yellow guy, dude. How the fuck would they know? How the fuck would they know? I don't know.
Power
It's
is the
crazy.
most difficult decision of them all.
Or maybe they're all tuned into the same thing, and the heads, the yellow, I don't know, purple heads. Would they be purple heads?
That's when Sinestro speaks into Superman's ear. Ask him the question. You say you watched civilizations rise and fall, Ganthet. Were you watching Krypton in its final moments? And in your infinite wisdom, did you choose to not use your power that day? Ganthet lowers his head and says nothing. You dare come to me today to lecture me on responsibility when you doomed my plan. And in your infinite wisdom, did you choose to not use your power that day? Ganthet lowers his head and says nothing. You dare come to me today to lecture me on responsibility when you doomed my planet and people. No, they doomed themselves, and we will not allow you to rule over these people, Kal-El of Krypton. Is that a threat? No, a warning. Get the hell off my planet. So Ganthet leaves the Watchtower, and he tells Lantern Jordan that he needs to accompany them back to Oa. As they leave the Watchtower, Sinestro floats in. Meanwhile, in Gotham, Superman's soldiers begin to march on the city, and Gordon realizes that it's time for him to stop pretending that he doesn't know about Batman's operation. He's been informed by Superman that he has cancer, so he looks at one of the cameras and he tells Barbara, "Let me in. I know you're there and I know you're watching. I know everything." The Guardians begin to call in every Green Lantern from every sector. This is an all-points bulletin. They even pull Lantern John Stewart off of Riot that's being overrun by zombies.
Damn.
They need an entire army if they're going to stop Superman. While Superman's group debates if they should be siding with Sinestro, he's a villain, an evil ruler, and a tyrant. Sinestro explains that he's just concerned about the well-being of the galaxy.
I mean, Sinestro's daughter's of one of the Green Lanterns, right? Like, I mean, he's not all that bad then, right? Like,
went the route of fear because he got overzealous when a riot killed his wife. The reaction and punishment from the Corps was swift and vicious.
oh, and he was a Green Lantern, right?
I want my revenge.
See?
But we have
He's not all that bad.
But Lex and Flash managed to convince Superman.
He just looks fucking crazy evil.
So Sinestro asks them, "You fear me?" And Lex tells him, "Of course." So Sinestro hands him his yellow ring. "I give you your fear. You will need me when the time comes, and together we will end them." Back on Oa, Hal tries to convince the Guardians that Superman is doing the right thing, that he's protecting the planet. But they don't see it that way. They see a man that has toppled governments and created super beings to make an army. Hal argues, though, with Superman taking a more active role on Earth, countless lives have been saved, and not just through ending violence. They've been stopping hunger and creating a renewable energy source. The Guardians dismiss Hal, and he sees all of the lanterns being recalled, and then Kilowog comes down the steps. "I'm to bring a squad to Earth, and then we're gonna bring Superman here for trial." Hal is shocked. "If you think I'm gonna lie down and allow you to attack my planet, don't be stupid, Jordan." So Hal sends off a massive energy spike, pushing everyone away, and then he takes off for space trying to get to Earth. But the Guardians quickly put up a shield stopping Hal, and the rest of the Corps apprehends him. They take him to the Guardians, where his ring is removed, and he's placed in a cell. As the rest of the Lanterns head to Earth, John sneaks into the cells, and he frees Hal, and he gives him back his ring. "I'm with you in Superman, Hal. Capturing you was an act. An act. You stood there while they beat me unconscious. I'm very convincing." On Earth, the Green Lantern Corps strike force arrives with Kill.
I bet he's also tired of, like, we're fucking superheroes and we're not allowed to use our powers. You know what I mean? Like, what are we dictating? You know, this is definitely, like maybe that fucker's not about the woke movement. You know what I mean? Like, and he's like, bro, fuck these big-headed motherfuckers, bro.
Kilowog in the lead. "Superman, the Guardians want to talk to you on Oa." Superman dials up Cyborg, and he orders it to start. And they blast the entire strike force with a space-to-ground laser. A crater is made where the Lantern Corps stood, and then Kilowog looks up, and he blasts off towards them. Superman dodges Kilowog. Entire strike force arrives with Kilowog in the lead. "Superman, the Guardians want to talk to you on Oa." Superman dials up Cyborg, and he orders it to start.
Oh, it's Cyborg.
And they blast the entire strike force with a space-to-ground laser.
Shit.
A crater is made where the Lantern Corps stood, and then Kilowog looks up, and he blasts off towards them. Superman dodges Kilowog, and he tells him, "This is stupid. You can't touch me with a thought-based weapon. I move faster than thought." Well then, it's a good thing that we already thought of that. And instantly, Superman reels back in pain, and he falls to the ground. It was the squirrel. Everyone underestimates the squirrel. He is thinking so small that he's stopping the synapses in Superman's brain, and he's keeping him from moving. The Lanterns have won. But up at the Watchtower, Lex sees that the end is coming, so he opens
What a hack!
and he hands him his ring. As the Lanterns prepare Superman for transport, Chip begins to feel blood running down his forehead, and he falls to the ground, freeing Superman. Sinestro has killed him. The fight begins again with the Lanterns battling against Superman, Hawkgirl, Shazam, and Sinestro. But just then, Hal and John arrive on Earth to see what a disaster this has become. John heads over to stop Sinestro, while Hal calls for Kilowog and Superman to stop fighting. Sinestro then hovers behind Superman with the entire Yellow Corps, an army at Superman's disposal. So Kilowog agrees to stand down and leave. They'll return to Oa, but Sinestro refuses. No, you can't let them leave. They'll report this and they'll return with more Green Lanterns. Hal looks to Superman to let the Lanterns go, but Superman looks away. Sinestro's right. The debate begins on whether or not they should exterminate the Green Lantern Strike Force, but Superman refuses. We're heroes. We don't kill. Detain them and take their rings. As he takes Kilowog's ring, Kilowog warns him. The Guardians are gonna come here and kick your butt, Poozer. Superman orders for Sinestro to stay. Without him, Superman would be halfway to Oa by now. But the Yellow Corps is told to head off-world and wait. Meanwhile, back in Gotham, Gordon has learned about everything from his daughter, and he wants to help. The entire GCPD wants to help. So they take the strength pills that...
Sinestro, or Superman wants the planet. Sinestro wants the universe, right? Like, or galaxy, right? Like,
Batman got back to the group, and they begin to build their own army of citizens in Gotham. Gotham will not let Superman and his army take control. A war on a second front is brewing now. We open on the Guardians of the Universe stumped. The Earth is vanished, and they don't know how. When Guy Gardner steps up, I could fill you in. I was on my way back here when the Sinestro Corps jumped me. Sinestro has joined forces with Superman. What of the Lanterns?
The guy that got his finger taken out?
I don't know. When I left, they were alive. But we've worked out that Kyle was killed by the Yellow Lanterns, and I think Hal and John are now with Superman. We won't act rashly and charge in. We will plan our attack, and until then, the Earthlings are on their own. Things have been ramping up rather quickly, but if you're just now joining us, the Joker forced Superman to kill Lois Lane, and then he blew up all of Metropolis. Superman then built an army and has taken over all of the government functions on Earth. Batman stood against him, but Superman broke his back. Then the Green Lanterns arrived to bring Superman to justice, but the Strike Force was defeated by Sinestro and the Yellow Lanterns, and then they were detained on Earth. Back on Earth, the GCPD has gotten their hands on Superman's super soldier creating pills, and they've started working with Batman's agents to remove Superman's army from Gotham. They won't stand by and let Superman take over. Harvey Bullock and Commissioner Gordon have both taken the pills, and they drop the invaders.
That's crazy.
And then Gordon says to round up the men.
Go
He's
Gotham.
Going to interrogate them. Back at their base of operations, Barbara is getting upset when she's going through old family photos, but she comes across one of Nightwing, Dick Grayson. And he died not that long ago. But something catches both Barbara and Commissioner Gordon's eyes. Someone that looks like Barbara Gordon's mother has just appeared on their cameras. No one has seen her in 15 years, and while it's assumed that she was murdered, they never found a body. So Gordon pops another of the strength-granting pills, even with Barbara telling him not to because it's speeding up his cancer that he was recently diagnosed with.
Oof.
He decides to head off into town and sneak by Superman's army to the location where they saw her. But once he gets there, he discovers that it was all a trap, and it's actually Clayface. Gordon walks over and grabs him, but he begs Gordon to stop. He escaped to the Purge of Arkham, and if they find him, they will kill him. He just wants protection. But Gordon doesn't want to hear it. Give me one reason to help you. I'll give you closure. I can tell you where they buried your wife. So he explains that he was there that night, running with the gang that shot her, but he wasn't a part of it. And they didn't do it for any real reason. She was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So he follows Clayface to the pier, where he finally gets to see her body, and he says to himself, I'll be seeing you again soon. And now he knows that she is waiting for him. So he takes Clayface back to the headquarters, where he tells the group that they're gonna put him in a cell until Barbara can verify that there isn't anything weird about his DNA. But that's when he somehow gets out of his cell and he walks past Barbara as Dick Grayson. Upon seeing that, she yells at him, How dare you! You know what I found in your DNA? Kryptonian blood. You lied to us. You've met Superman. And that's when she puts it all together. You were sent here to torment us. That's right, Clayface says, as he begins to shift back into himself. He told me to come down here and let them see they're dead, as I have had to every day. Was that even my mother's body? Barbara asks as she catches a punch that he tries to throw. Oh, it was, but I wasn't standing pretty by the sidelines. And then the two of them begin a full-on battle in which Clayface knocks her out of her wheelchair. He then smashes down on Batwoman and Huntress as they come to Barbara's rescue. But after Black Canary Sonic screams him, disrupting
said
him,
I killed
Barbara
that
throws the
bitch.
wheel of her wheelchair into him, knocking him out.
That's right.
As the next few days pass,
No
Harley
way.
closes Clayface.
No way the heroes couldn't fucking get him and the wheelchair knocked him out. I mean, maybe she's a superhero too, but like,
Up in
crazy.
various jars, and Barbara takes some time to watch the family photos again. Jim Gordon then enters and apologizes to her. He didn't mean to interrupt. But Barbara tells him that she's just dealing with the fact that he has cancer, and in a month or a week or maybe even a day, she'll be alone. And these pictures are all that she has left.
Keep
of
popping
him.
them pills,
He then
bruh.
takes the knee and he apologizes. He wishes that he could stay longer. And Barbara reassures him, "I'll never be alone. I know you'll be
The
waiting for me.
S42s.
You'll always be there." They then embrace to a photo of Jim and his wife. Some time passes and Dinah the Black Canary gives birth to her child, while Hal and Sinestro head off on a secret mission in Superman's name. Harley Quinn even becomes more of a good guy by dropping her trademark makeup at times and helping Black Canary. But the battle that we are all waiting for begins to ramp up as Guy Gardner finally returns to Earth with the Lantern Corps in tow. And I do mean the Lantern Corps, because they have the entire
The planet?
Corps, Mogo included, coming with them.
The
They were going to try and
planet.
sneak in, but that's not going to happen as they have an entire planet coming with them. Superman has a plan though, as he goes on national television to ask the entire world to come outdoors and fight against the Lantern Corps. He asks the entire world to become human shields. Black Canary leaves little Connor with Barbara, and then she warps to the Tower of Fate with Zatanna. It's time to see what Batman's condition is. He now has a robotic spine and some magic from Zatanna helping him walk again and speed up his recovery. He puts out an all-points bulletin asking everyone to get ready. This is their last chance.
He didn't
to stop
do the
Superman.
Lazarus pit?
Everyone needs to get ready and say their
I would have done the
goodbyes.
Lazarus
To
pit.
family,
Fuck it,
to
homie.
friends, to
Make me
partners,
different.
to their children, their wives, and their husbands, and their mustaches. Catwoman then helps him to his feet, and they get ready to say goodbye to Bruce. He's gonna stay here and heal. But once everyone leaves the tower, he grits his teeth. He isn't staying here. He's gonna make sure that Superman is stopped. So he goes to Oracle's base of operations to join her. Then, night begins to fall on Earth early as a planet blocks the sun. The Green Lanterns have arrived. Hal, John, and Superman all meet up with Guy Gardner while he makes one final plea. "Please, Superman, help us take down the Sinestro Corps, and then we'll take you for trial and we'll end this." But Superman doesn't budge. "No one dies if you leave." "Don't do this, Superman. Have some perspective. Look at your allies. That one is named Arkillo. He has kill in his name." "For now, they are useful. The enemy of my enemy is sometimes a much worse enemy. We can stop this, Clark. You and me right now with words. Just words." "Guy, you were always an embarrassment to the Justice League. Now you're an embarrassment to your entire planet." So Guy throws a punch, and the fight begins with Superman catching it and breaking his arm. And then Superman grabs him. "I don't want you in this fight." And he throws him off into space. The Corps yells attack, and they get out of the way as Mogo blasts the entire group with willpower. On the planet, everyone can see the skies turn green, and they stand in shock. The war has begun. Superman survived, and he carried Sinestro and Hal out of the blast range. And they lost a quarter of the Sinestro Corps. On Earth, the signal went out, and they begin their ground assault by blowing up a bomb that Harley Quinn is strapped to her chest on the steps of the Hall of Justice, using it as a distraction so that Catwoman can knock Flash unconscious and capture him. Luckily, Harley Quinn had a strength pill because she survived, and then she grabbed her old costume.
Wait, was
Catwoman knocked
Hal,
Rack
not
shots
Hal,
into the
but
skies to this fight. Embarrassment to you. We can
Frank?
stop
Was it
allies.
Frank? The
Take
black?
you for trial
Yeah,
and
he
we'll
was
end
there.
this.
Alright.
But Superman, words, Guy, you were always an embarrassment to the Justice
Ooh.
League. I don't want you in this fight. And he throws him off into space. War has begun. Superman survived, and he carried Sinestro and Hal out of the blast range. And they lost a quarter of the Sinestro Corps. On Earth, the signal went out, and they begin their ground assault by blowing up a bomb that Harley Quinn is strapped to her chest on the steps of the Hall of Justice, using it as a distraction so that Catwoman can knock Flash unconscious and capture him. Luckily, Harley Quinn had a strength pill because she survived, and then she grabbed her old costume while Catwoman knocked Robin out and took him captive also. Gordon walked into the Hall of Justice and he took Lex Luthor hostage. But that's when we learn who the inside man that was trying to help Batman's group is. It's Lex Luthor. He takes Gordon aside and he informs him that Cyborg is going to track their signal back to Barbara soon. And then, they'll capture all of them. But he knows how far Gordon's cancer has gone. And he can get Gordon up to the Watchtower. So they walk over to the teleporter pad, and Lex asks
gonna
him
die,
to make
bro.
it look like he forced Lex to
You
do
better
this,
die doing
as
the
he
right
teleports
thing.
Gordon to the watchtower. Meanwhile, Guy Gardner puts his arm in a sling made out of willpower, and then he heads off to help the resistance get moving. But Hal tries to prevent him from going by starting an argument between Guy and Hal. That's interrupted by Sinestro. Guy takes a blast of fear to the face, and then he gets back up to try and convince Hal that this is insane. You were the best of us, Hal. You're not supposed to be Superman's puppet. And Sinestro jumps in. Shut him up. End him. So the Yellow Corps bombards Guy Gardner. But once the smoke clears, he's still standing thanks to the willpower shield granted to him by Ganthet. I never stopped believing in you, Hal. But the Guardians, they gave up. And Ganthet blasts Hal Jordan. Guy Gardner grabs Carol Ferris and begins to get her out of the area as the Yellow Corps and Ganthet go crazy on each other. But Hal stops him. Guy, give her to me! Carol tries to jump in. It's okay, Hal. Guy was saving me. But Hal doesn't listen and he yells, give her to me! And he clubs Guy Gardner with a willpower mace. That's all it took. Ganthet turned around and told Hal, you broke your oath. And he took the green ring. Out in the middle of the sky, Hal loses his Green Lantern powers and he and Carol both begin to fall to the earth. But, seeing a chance, Sinestro flies up and he hands him a yellow ring. He takes the ring. And with that, Hal Jordan has entered the Sinestro
and saves his girl.
Meanwhile, Batman can see that the battle is stretching out thinner and thinner from his seat in Oracle's headquarters. He can see the Superman and the Yellow Corps are just trying to stretch out the Green Lanterns and bring them to populated areas, knowing that they won't fight back. He wants her to warn everyone to come together, but that's when she pauses. She realizes that she's been traced. Up in the watchtower, Cyborg hears the teleporter confirm Lex Luthor, and he gets up. Lex, I found them. We need to go. But there stands Gordon with a gun trained on Cyborg. No, you won't. Cyborg puts his hand up. We're in a space station. You won't fire a bullet at me. And Gordon responds by shooting a shot at Cyborg's head, bouncing it off of his cyborg side. The next shot goes through the soft side of your head. Now turn off the trace. Cyborg scans Gordon and he realizes Gordon's dying. Gordon begins to feel the strain from the cancer, and Cyborg takes this chance to blast Gordon in the chest. But he took another strength pill, allowing him to eat the blast and grab Cyborg. You won't touch her, he shouts as he clobbers Cyborg, and he tears off the cyborg parts on his face.
Ooh, soft side of your head, homie.
You knew taking those pills would make your cancer worse, didn't you? Yes. Can you take Cyborg down for collection?
But didn't he convince him to do it? Didn't he tell him that, like...
With my daughter.
Lex, you're a dick.
Gordon dials up his daughter.
Oh, you knew it was gonna fuck you up, right, bro? Nigga, didn't you the one that took notice?
That's how beautiful the Earth is from up here. You can't see any hatred or violence, just the calm. Superman can't be allowed to hold this world, Barb. We'll take care of him, Batman says.
And what time is it?
It's good to hear your voice, Batman.
It's 1 o'clock. It's gonna be 1 o'clock.
No, it isn't.
48
It was
minutes.
never Bruce.
Or 50,
Sorry,
18
Barbara.
minutes.
And Barbara
48.
jumps in.
18 minutes.
Dad, please don't. Batman, I guess I get to disappear on you for once. Back with Hal Jordan, Sinestro, and Ganthet. Ganthet took a look at Hal. He has fallen. And
Wait,
then
what
looking
was
at
that
both
whole
Batman,
thing?
it's Bruce. No, it isn't. It was never Bruce. I'm sorry, Barbara. And Barbara jumps in. Dad, please don't. Batman, I guess I get to disappear on you for once. Back with Hal Jordan, Sinestro, and
What's he
Ganthet.
gonna do?
Ganthet took a look at Hal. He has fallen. And then looking at both Hal
Is
and
he gonna
Sinestro.
crash that thing?
You were both terrible mistakes. Ganthet turns to Guy. It's time to leave, Guy. There is someone more important than these two. And Sinestro screams at Ganthet. There is no one more important than I. So Ganthet turns to Sinestro and his core, and he disintegrates them in a single blast, leaving only Sinestro the survivor. You are a speck in history, Sinestro. I have no more time for you. And he leaves her space. He gets into space and he goes straight for Superman, blasting him with the power of willpower. Superman falls down to the earth, and just as he enters normal space, the Batjet comes by, hitting him with missiles. Looking at it, he thinks that Bruce is piloting it, and he blasts it with his heat vision, destroying it. But Batman wasn't flying
But it was Lois Lane's.
Batwoman, and he's now killed her. So Black Canary swoops in using a glider, and she grabs Superman, and she sonic screams it right in his ears, shoving him down to the earth with a
R.I.P.
boom.
Batwoman.
She then lands right in front of him, and he speeds over, grabbing her by the chest. So she shoots him with a gun, containing a kryptonite bullet. Then with a solid kick, she knocks him down, and she tells Superman, after everything you've done, Bruce still cares about you, and he asks for mercy. Back up in space, Ganthet uses a massive blast to kill every single Sinestro Corps member up there with him. And then he throws Shazam down to the ground. Without Superman, the Sinestro Corps and his soldiers are failing. And Batman's...
Bro, Shazam didn't have no other fucking... Like, he was, like, scared. He like, bro, they're gonna make me say Shazam. Fuck that shit, you know what I mean? Like, what the...
Troops have managed to capture Cyborg, Flash, and
I think it
Robin.
was like, you kill Shazam as a Shazam, there's no more Shazam, right? Like, so he has to fucking say Shazam so he could protect the legacy of the Shazam.
With a win on the horizon, Guy gets ready to come down and carry Superman away. But with so many Sinestro Corps members dead, there's a lot of rings floating around. And one manages to find a new host. Kal-El of Krypton, you have the ability to instill great fear. Using his new ring, he pulls the bullet out of his chest and he fires a blast of heat vision right through Black Canary's stomach. Then, as he leaves her for dead, bleeding out, she reveals the true plan. She had contact lenses on that broadcasted everything that she saw to the world. Everyone saw the true Superman. Superman is furious, and he flies straight at Ganthet. Are you happy to see somebody die? Look at all of this! While this is going on, Sinestro puts a blade through John Stewart's chest, ending him. And then he brings the body of John to Hal. Hal, we need to get your friend to medical attention. But just as his green ring leaves his hands, Hal Jordan becomes furious and turns to Sinestro. Who did this? Sinestro looks Hal dead in the eyes. It was Guy Gardner. Hal goes right for Guy. You did this! You brought them here! This is all your fault! And Guy takes a beating. Hal, I didn't want this. I won't fight you! So Hal rips off Guy's arm where he had his ring. And then Guy turns back to normal and falls to Earth, murdered by his friend. So Superman and Ganthet begin to stare each other down. And Batman realizes they've lost this fight. Superman is wearing a ring fueled by fear, and their broadcast just overpowered that ring. The entire world now fears Superman. Ganthet holds his hands up to end
as they should.
And then Superman takes all of that willpower to the face. He's unstoppable. He then grabs Ganthet by the throat, and he rockets into space with him, aiming for Mogo. Mogo fires a full beam through Superman and Ganthet, but it does nothing as Superman slams Ganthet into Mogo's surface. And then he pushes Mogo back with Ganthet pinned down. He's pushing them so hard that he shoves both Ganthet and Mogo into the sun.
Woo!
We don't need you, Guardian. And that ends it. The Green Lantern Corps has been annihilated. In the aftermath, everyone alive in Batman's forces went back into hiding. And
Yellow Lantern, Superman.
And Superman kept his yellow ring. Hal and Sinestro are now kind of friends, if you want to call them that. And Black Canary, she was left
Sinestro's the
out
big
with the deal
homie.
she made with Superman. Dr. Fate appeared before her and he took his helmet off. Fate. She woke up in another place, another universe, another Earth, with her child Connor there. Dr. Fate brought her to a world with an Oliver Queen.
Bro, I have a weird ass story, homie. I forget when. I remember I got all drunk at West Cliff. It's in Santa Cruz. And the last thing I remember, I was fucking pretending I was going to jump off the fucking thing. And then after that, supposedly I got into other people's cars and fucking spooked people and shit like that. And, I feel like I missed, how Kenny dies and fucking wakes up the next day, dude. You know what I mean? Mr. Fate, whatever the fuck on it. But yeah, dude, I had one of those. I don't remember nothing. I remember the last thing I remember was trying to jump off that fucking cliff. Ugh.
One that lived a quiet and quaint life. One that lost his Dinah 5 years ago. Dr. Fate tells her that she was gonna die, so he brought her here to try again. He can't promise that they'll be happy together, but he can at least give them each other. He then denies her request to go back and stop Superman, and he leaves, saying goodbye to Connor. Ollie looks at the child. Connor? Yes. I always liked that name. I know. And Ollie looks at her, and then he smiles. Hello, pretty bird. Batman had an idea, so he sought out Dr. Occult. Dr. Occult is an individual deep in the mystical side of the DC universe and is actually two individuals sharing a body, Rose and Dr. Occult himself. Batman sought out Rose.
Was that the same Ollie that just got pummeled to a pulp by Superman, and he got taken out. And he's all like, "Look, live your good life here for a little bit. It's gonna be a little bit of a pain, but Ollie's on her way." Ooh,
because she is
tough.
Dr. Occult, and his
DC's
plan
crazy, dude.
Superman is vulnerable to
DC never got the right people to do their fucking shit, right? Like maybe the Dan Snyder or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? But like to really do, Disney's got the right people. Disney fucking just does it right. They're like, look, we're gonna do what the industry does, but we're gonna like give it all. You know what I mean? We're gonna culminate it. You know what I mean? And you're gonna eat shit for a little bit, but it's gonna build up. You know, and they're in the position to do all that shit, which is great, but yeah, Mickey Mouse.
the magic, so why not use that against
South Park
him?
Mickey
But
Mouse.
in order for it to work, he'll need to remove two problems: Raven and Wonder Woman. Batman
Poor
approached Rose
Jonas
and told her
Brothers.
that he needs both Rose and Dr. Occult, and she turns around, instantly turning into Dr. Occult. Anything you say to me, you say to both of us, literally, Batman. We're at your service. I give you my word. So he sets off on his mission, going to Georgetown first, meeting with Baron Winters. While meeting with the Baron, another individual is standing in the back of the room, John Constantine. He overhears what Dr. Occult is planning, and once Baron Winters tries to convince the doctor not to go through with it, Constantine turns around. Let him do what he wants. He's a big boy and a big girl. I'd have half a mind to throw into them and take down Old Blue. If only he'd asked nicely. But Dr. Occult informs Constantine, I would never ask for your help. You'd most likely leave me in a trance with my pockets picked. Constantine defends himself, though. That was only once, mate. You'd think that I'd be fool enough to try that again? And so, his trip brought him to Cairo to get the Blade of Durga, New Athens to get the living sphere from the Enchantress, to the Twilight Realm to trade the sphere to the Court of the Fairy, and eventually to Metropolis, where he began to draw ruins on the wall. He walks into the sanctum of Raven herself, surrounded by hellfire, and sensing that something is off, she begins to throw the hellfire at Dr. Occult. He begins to pull out a gem that hits her hard, but the hellfire has burned Dr. Occult alive, separating him from Rose, throwing her to the ground. But Constantine has been following behind this whole time, and as Raven prepares to finish off Rose, he grabs the gem and he hits her with it.
Raven's
Raven
a piece. Look at
Rose
that.
looks over at the body of Dr. Occult and sees him dead, turned to bone. Constantine pulls out a cigarette. Rose, we both know you won't live long without him, so you can do one thing. You can finish the job. Go to Themyscira and finish off Wonder Woman. You need to fight like a proper mage and keep your word. Rose agrees, and she begins to create a teleportation spell.
fight
Constantine gets
Wonder
back to his
Woman.
feet. I'll wrap up Raven and try to pull the doctor out from the other side. But if I save him, you owe me. If I survive, Constantine, Rose says, leaving. Then he flicks his cigarette to the ground. He then wraps up Raven in the center of a circle with another symbol on her, binding her in place. And in the home of Wonder Woman, Rose sneaks in, and as Wonder Woman wakes up, she throws dust into Wonder Woman's face, putting her to sleep. Then, as Rose begins to die finally, she knows that she needs to vanish. There needs to be no trace in Themyscira that she was there. Otherwise, they'll figure out what she did to Wonder Woman and they'll break the spell. So she warps herself to a random island out in the middle of nowhere, and using her last spell, she calls up Batman. Batman, the job is done. Raven is neutralized. Wonder Woman sleeps helplessly, and we won't survive. Don't trust. And then she dies. Batman just calls back, Doctor, who don't I trust? Who don't I trust? As she falls face first into the sand,
Constantine
appears behind her, rifles through her pockets, taking all of her trinkets, and then he stands up, lighting a cigarette. Your trinkets should be more than enough to hide me, and keep me from getting involved in this fight. Don't get me wrong, I think you were doing the right thing. The Kryptonian made a mess of this world, but I'm a family man now. Rest in peace, Doctor. We're both out of this war now.
Oof.
And that brings us to today, the end of the Green Lantern battle, with John Constantine looking at a Green Lantern sitting on what was once a house. A house that contained someone really close to him, Rose Constantine. You see, John's daughter was hidden from everyone to avoid the problems that came with his line of work. That is until Superman and Batman's battle brought it to her. And so begins the next chapter of this war. Dr. Fate can feel the very fabric of reality tearing as there's a loud knocking at the door to the Tower of Fate, Batman's team's hideout. Zatanna and Dr. Fate get ready, with their powers charging to face whatever was able to find the Tower of Fate. And when Zatanna opened the door, she found John Constantine there with his daughter. Hello, Z. Being the masters of magic that the three of them are, John explains that he was feeling something magically watching him in Liverpool, and Dr. Fate confirms that there is something going on, and he can feel that it has aligned itself with Superman. But none of them know who or what this is. So John asks Z to send him to the world's greatest detective, Detective Chimp. This is John Constantine, though, and he has his own plans to put into action. So after recruiting Detective Chimp, he decides to make a
is
stop
it the
in
Chimp
hell,
or is
the
it
Trigon's domain, to ask
Batman?
do you still have that piece of my soul? Yes, little magician. I obtained the piece that you sold in hell. Well, I'm here to let you know. Your daughter Raven was removed from battle by something big and nasty working for Superman. What is it? I don't know yet. But when I find out, will you be ready to act? I do not trust you, little magician. Why share this with me? Well, since you own a piece of my soul and plan to torture me for all eternity, maybe I can get some time off for good behavior. Trigon puts him down and closes the door to hell. Find my daughter, and do not bother me until you do. Meanwhile, over at the Hall of Justice, Superman, Hal Jordan, and Sinestro are trying to figure out what happened to the Flash, Robin, Cyborg, and Raven. They've all been taken by Batman's team, and no one can seem to find them, which automatically leads Superman to believe that there is something new in play. Magic. Meanwhile, Batman is meeting with John, so that John can introduce him to Detective Chimp, and show both of them where he's keeping Raven, because if his plan goes south, he wants someone to know where she's bound, otherwise she'll be there for all of eternity. And he explains to Batman and Chimp that he is getting involved because he wants revenge. Superman took Rose's mother away, and while he can't bring her back in any form that you would want watching a child, he can do the revenge thing, because he's good at that. Back at the Hall of Justice, Sinestro brings in the last man to see the location of Batman's prisoners, and Superman threatens Officer Sprague's family if he doesn't help. While over at the home of Jason Blood, otherwise known as Etrigan, Batman's team and all of the magic users that will work with Constantine are preparing their plans. Almost everyone is on board with this new magical turn, except for Harvey Bullock. This is getting a bit too crazy for him, so he turns away from the group and he prepares to leave. As he opens the door, Detective Chimp comes over to tell him, "You can't think like that. Things will get crazy, but you should honor Commissioner Gordon after his sacrifice. He would have stayed. But with the door open, there isn't any magical protection on the home, and Clarion can feel it. Something's coming." Jason Blood shouts for them to shut the door, and he runs to it with Harvey pushing it as hard as he can. But it's too late, as it's blown off the hinges and turns Jason Blood and Harvey into mush, and it throws Detective Chimp to the ground. Spectre has arrived, and he isn't here to play nice. Clarion and Zatanna try to get the protection magic back up and running, while Harley Quinn is upset because Detective Chimp's little hat fell off. Batman looks to Batwoman and Huntress. "Look for an exit. We need to get out of here now." And Constantine snaps at him. "That's the spirit of vengeance out there. Do you really think he'll be fooled by hiding in another room? You think he can protect us from the Spectre? You could barely walk after your injury. You're bloody useless." So Batman punches Constantine in the nose, and he turns to Zatanna. "As soon as you feel the attack stop, I want you to teleport everyone out of here. I'm going out there to talk to him. He is the spirit of vengeance, and he punishes criminals. We have something in common." Batman walks out the front door and he calls out, "Spectre!" Back inside, Constantine snaps to and he asks Clarion what's going on. Batman is talking to the Spectre. Jesus, the size of the coconuts on Batman. Zatanna turns to everyone and teleports them out of the house and back to the Tower of Fate, which doesn't fool the Spectre for even 1 second as he grabs Batman. "Deceiver!" Zatanna then reappears, grabs Batman, and warps away. He walks over to Constantine. "You did that on purpose, because you've been off your game, and if we're gonna have a chance to take down Superman, I'm gonna need Batman." Over on the other side of the tower, Harley is demanding that the Doctor come in right now. They need his help. But Dr. Fate has to explain, he isn't that kind of doctor. She demands to know what kind of doctor he is. It's complicated. Then lead me to my operating room, Mr. Fate. Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice, Sinestro is torturing Officer Sprague. And since he hasn't given up any information, Superman enters to tell him to stop the torture. It doesn't take much for Sinestro to convince Superman to let him continue, though, as Superman walks out of the room as Officer Sprague continues to scream. Superman then enters the main hall, while Spectre appears to let him know there are new powers at work against him. Over in the tower, Constantine takes Batman with him to the one person that can tell them if their plans will work. At first, Madame Xanadu doesn't want to help Constantine. Everyone close to Constantine dies, and Constantine even gives Batman a chance to leave now. Walk away before someone gets hurt. But they've gone too far. So after she copes with the death of Jason Blood, she reveals the future to Constantine and Batman. The green will grow, hellfire will burn, a dead man will fall and a dead man will rise. The Empress awakens and the Emperor sleeps. Souls will be lost and traitors triumph. The advisor vanishes and the Joker returns. Batman looks shocked. The Joker returns? That's impossible. And on that note, Constantine puts his plan into motion. Things begin with Clarion's cat knocking over one of the candles that binds Raven, freeing her astral spirit. The first thing she does is take off to tell Superman to come for her, warn him where she is now. But the cat knocking over the candle wasn't an accident. It was all a part of the plan. Superman takes off at top speeds, leaving behind Spectre and everyone, and he makes his way to a magical house, one so powerful that no matter how hard he hits the door, he can't get in. It literally hurts his hand. So plan B, he uses the yellow ring to make a construct and tears the building in half. And inside, he finds Raven lying there bound. He gives it a clap and the gust of wind destroys the circle holding her. Raven then gets up thanking him, but while Superman isn't paying attention, Raven becomes a series of rags that wrap around him. The being that is obviously not Raven tells Superman that he can feel his murdering soul, and Constantine steps out. I know, pretty dramatic, isn't it? This is obviously not Raven, it's Ragman, known as Rory to his friends. You don't get to call him
Rory.
The suit of rags absorbs corrupted souls and it traps them inside the cloak until they're atoned for their sins. But you know, you literally murdered a planet. I guess you'll be trapped in there until the stars burn out. Superman then burns through the bindings with his heat vision and he shouts out, "Spectre!" Yeah, he's probably looking for you right now. But this place is pretty well hidden. You could only find it because we wanted you to. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice, the Spectre arrives to tell everyone that he's gone. Superman is missing and he can't sense him. So Lex Luthor gets on the computer and he tries to find the exact location of Superman's earpiece. At that moment, Constantine gets a little too cocky and he lets Superman continue to struggle. Superman reaches up and he hits his communicator, yelling, "Shazam!" As he is a being of magical power, Shazam can hear his name being called, and at the speeds of lightning, he appears next to Superman. "Ragman, get him!" Constantine yells out.
Damn, he had to.
Shazam isn't innocent. So Shazam grabs Ragman and he holds him up and shouts, "Shazam!" And a bolt of magical lightning comes through the roof, burning Ragman and causing a massive explosion that reveals their location to the rest of the regime. Constantine looks in horror as Spectre appears and grabs Ragman. He then begins to tear the cloak apart, freeing the souls to be judged by him, not this Ragman. He then takes off Ragman's mask to tell him it is time for his vengeance. Rory calls down to Constantine asking him for help, but Constantine turns his back to Rory, telling him, "Sorry, mate." As Spectre kills Rory to the shock of Shazam, Superman gets up. "Now you die, you little shit." He grabs Constantine and he demands to know where Raven is, but Shazam asks him, "Stop, Superman, please." So Superman puts down Constantine and thanks Shazam for coming to his rescue. He knew he would be here. Shazam takes Constantine and the whole group begins to head back to the Hall of Justice, where Sinestro is offering to get information out of Constantine. But things take an eerie turn mid-flight, as Deadman is waiting for them to pass through. And when Shazam comes near him, he possesses Shazam, and then he drops Constantine. John falls farther and farther until a top hat catches him, and Zatanna is waiting for him. Superman then turns around to ask what's going on, as Shazam holds his head, confused as to why he did that. Inside, Deadman and the young boy that becomes Shazam are both inside of Shazam, and they're kind of arguing as to what is going on. Billy wants to know what this is, and Deadman says that this is odd. He's never shared the inside of a person before. But not to worry, he'll return Billy's body after he speaks to Spectre. Deadman would like to know why the Spectre is siding with anyone in this war. Billy stares him down. "I don't need all of my body." And in the real world, he calls out, "Shazam!" turning himself back into Billy Batson. Spectre catches the boy and he looks at him, and he can see that there are 3 minds inside of him. The Spectre reaches inside and he yanks Deadman out of Billy. So Deadman takes his chance. "I won't be speaking to you today, Spectre. I want to speak to the man inside, Jim Corrigan." The two of them stare at each other and Deadman asks, "Is he even in there?" The Spectre then gives an evil grin, and Deadman looks scared. "You're not Jim Corrigan, are you? Who are you?" The Spectre then sends Deadman on, because as he tells Superman, the only thing here is a spirit that forgot
I don't want to kill it. I think I remember
He
who
uses
it
his
is.
sword of vengeance to cut Deadman in half, and his essence begins to leak out of him, so he begins to drift away. Meanwhile, at the Tower of Fate, Constantine is trying to decide what to do next, and Batman storms in telling him that he should have told him about this plan. So Constantine takes Batman with him for the next piece of it. To the first part of the prophecy, the green will grow. They then walk to the heart of the green, Swamp Thing's swamp. Back with Deadman, he drifts to the Himalayas, to Nana Parbat, to ask the goddess to fix him. Don't let him fade away. He has so much more to accomplish. And she tells him that she can't do that. It is time for the Deadman to move on, and for another one to replace him. So he asks her, "Can I pick my own successor then?" And she tells him she knows his choice. It's a wise one, and one that will return order. Back in the swamp, John asks his old friend Swamp Thing to aid them, but Swamp Thing tells him that he has already sided with Superman. Superman's cause will save the green, and that is his only concern. And John looks at him. I don't want you as an enemy. Nor I you, John. As John and Batman leave the swamp, John says to Batman, we're going to have to kill Swamp Thing. Meanwhile, back in Nana Parbat, Deadman smiles as his replacement arrives. The man reaches down and he holds Deadman's hand as Deadman begins to fade off. Thank you for choosing me. It's gonna be good to help again. And Deadman tells him, you were the only choice, Dick Grayson. Find Jim Corrigan, Grayson. He is at the heart of this, and tell Batman, tell your dad, goodbye for me. With that, Deadman transfers his power to Dick Grayson, making him the new Deadman. Over in the Tower of Fate, Constantine gathers the group to explain the situation and the prophecy. The green will grow, the hellfire will burn. That Swamp Thing and the hellfire could be a number of things. A dead man will fall, and a dead man will rise. That's already happened as well. The Empress awakens, and the Emperor sleeps. And Catwoman chimes in, who's the Empress? And that's when Detective Chimp walks back over. That's Wonder Woman. My sources say that she's been asleep since this began. Did we do this? Constantine rolls his eyes. Yes. And she shouldn't be able to wake up, but those Amazons have some crazy gods on their side. Meanwhile, the Phantom Stranger takes Spectre into space to walk the rings of Saturn and figure out what's going on. It's not like the Spectre to side with anyone in a battle such as this. The Spectre explains that he's just keeping the balance. Superman has made things more balanced than it ever has been before, and the Stranger tells him that Superman is not the one that he serves. So Spectre grabs the Phantom Stranger and begins shoving him through the rings and into the planet. While the Spectre is occupied removing the Phantom Stranger as a threat, Superman realizes that his protection from magic is gone, and suddenly he hears a booming voice. The smell of brimstone, the odor of death, the stench of hellfire. On Etrigan's breath, Etrigan appears and he begins burning everyone with hellfire. Superman tries to put his hand over Etrigan's mouth, but it just burns him, and Etrigan cracks him over the head. Meanwhile, back in space, the Spectre can sense that Superman is in trouble, and he tries to leave, but the Phantom Stranger grabs him. You think me powerless, Spectre? I am eternal. So the Spectre turns to him and stabs him through the stomach. Nothing is. Rest, stranger. You have earned it. Back over at the Hall of Justice, Superman knocks Etrigan out the wall and into space. Why attack me, Etrigan? What do you want? It's nothing personal. A deal was done. Superman grabs Etrigan by the chest. What deal was done? What have you agreed to? Nothing crazy. Just to keep you close. Gone, oh Etrigan. Rise instead the form of. And then he changes into Batman. Surprised, Superman asks, Bruce? He throws magical powder into Superman's face. And Superman begins to feel woozy and tired. And he turns back to Bruce. You made a deal with the demon? You refuse to stand beside me and fix the world, but you'll stand against me with hell? He then hits the ground, asleep, and Batman walks away. Dream of the man you should have been, and never wake to this nightmare again.
I gotta stop it here. Oof. So.
And begins to fade off. Thank you for choosing me. It's gonna be good to help again. Deadman transfers the hellfire, and Catwoman chimes. Yes. And she shouldn't be able to wake up, but those Amazons have some crazy gods on their side. Meanwhile, the Phantom Stranger takes Spectre into space to walk the rings of Saturn. The stench of hellfire. On Etrigan in space and stabs him through the me, Etrigan, to keep you powder into Superman's face. And Superman begins to feel woozy and tired. And he turns back to Bruce. You made a deal with the demon? You refuse to stand beside me and fix the world, but you'll stand against me with hell? He then hits the ground, asleep, and Batman walks away. Dream of the man you should have been, and never wake to this nightmare again.
Oof. Alright, we're gonna end it here. Fucking 1:07 a.m. I'm already nodding off. Blame it on the out of here.